We be live!
Hello.
Hi everyone, we're going to be doing the news today. We have 10 news items to go over about atheism and religion, mostly about religion. From all around the world, this is the most global religion-related news you will see anywhere on the internet coverage. Susanna and her team takes the time to go find the most relevant, most important news and do fact checking and research just to make sure that we got it right and that it's not fake news. And if we're not sure, we'll just dial up the skepticism just in case we can't verify things. We'll just tell you what's being reported and how sure we are of whether or not this is true. Also, we have an audience from all around the world as well. So, guys, let us know where you're watching from, right? So, from Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Malaysia, Egypt, somewhere in Europe, somewhere in North America,
Philippines,
somewhere in
United
Africa.
States.
Yes, let us know. And I'll try to pay attention to that and highlight it because we like to brag about how international we are. Yeah, from Arizona. And Susanna, today's news, is it tragic? Is it funny? Is it ridiculous? What kind of news we're getting? Are you looking at?
Well, first news that we have today with Iran, I'm not going to lie, we have a lot of really difficult stuff to talk about that happened in the last week in Iran. But in general, the rest of the news is actually quite positive for the most part.
Okay.
Some stuff is like, oh my God, but it's a moment where we get to, dunk on Islam. So that is always fun, although the news itself might not be that good. And actually some very positive stories, including some news I would even venture to say is good news coming out of Pakistan. 2 good Pakistan-related news in 1 week.
Wow.
After we've been asking for weeks for good news from Pakistan. So
yes, guys,
I'll
this
take
is
what
amazing.
I can get.
Yes, we don't get much good news from Pakistan, so we've been looking, right? So good job, Susanna. Thank you for that.
Well, thank you to D, our
yes,
editor.
thank you.
Lovely
yes,
D.
thank you, D. Thank you, D.
Yes.
All right. Wow, like 2. Yeah, people are saying 2 good. Okay, good Pakistan news in 1 week. All right, cool. Guys,
one thing that we should address before we go live is, or dig into the news, I should say. Secular Rarity is saying, "Woo! I'm so happy to be watching the news live again." Yes, we are switching the news time, which I believe is 10 p.m. Eastern time, and so this will be the news time for the foreseeable future. I know that we're going to be missing, people in England or India maybe a bit, but
I still have India is good. India time is good.
I can't remember.
Yeah, India is fine. It's I for Europe, I still have the Secular Jihadist show. So we're like, if you want to watch me at least at the time that is more friendly to Europeans, subscribe to the Secular Jihadist channel because we're still going live there. All right. So the first news, I'm assuming we can't clap. Nope.
Well, the first news is actually more about media analysis.
Okay.
And then
so we can clap.
We will be later talking about something that's genuinely really tragic, but that's like secondary. So to what our headline story is, because it was like updated. Anyways.
Yeah, I'm gonna clap that. First news.
Iran did not abolish the morality police. Western media spreads regime lie. Recently, many reputable Western media outlets and other established mainstream news organizations have blindly echoed propaganda manufactured by Iran's regime. Al Jazeera reported that Iran's prosecutor general announced the cessation of the so-called morality police. According to the article, Prosecutor General Mohammad Jafar Montazeri said the morality police had been, quote, shut down by the same place it had been launched from in the past. The New York Times published an article with the misleading and bold title, quote, Iran abolishes the morality police after months of protest, and claimed the news was unverified, but added that the morality police is scarcely seen on the streets. Iranian activists sounded the alarm about the false victory. The New York Times title was later amended after massive backlash. The BBC was more conservative in their coverage and called Montazeri's announcement a quote-unquote uncertainty. An anti-regime Instagram account called From Iran said mainstream media outlets are deceived at best in its post. In an interview with MSNBC, Masih Alinejad, a US-based Iranian-American journalist and activist, made it clear that reports about shutting down the morality police are lies started by the regime and propagated by Western media, and that the chief aim of the uprising is to abolish the Islamic Republic itself, not solely the mandatory hijab.
The people responsible for spreading this kind of information to whitewash how bad the Islamic Republic is are a specific group associated with an organization called NIAC. And they have been proven time and time and again to be not credible and constantly be like, they have a very modern reform look. Like, they have women without hijab and men with suits and ties that are specifically in the United States with the job of downplaying how bad the Islamic Republic is, right? Even though they don't look like people who are religious or hardliners, sometimes they might be like, oh yeah, human rights is bad in Iran, okay? But what about the US? These are the people who every time you mention anything about Iran's human rights violation, the first thing they want to mention is the Mossadegh-related coup d'etat and how US is to be blamed for everything. And they are so uncredible, and they have been proven to be controlled and connected to the Islamic Republic so many times, and yet they have connections everywhere in US media. Like, the most prestigious media and news outlets and magazines and newspapers and podcasts, every time, like, well, not every time, but most of the time, I see somebody like Al Jazeera, CNN, MSNBC, New York Times,
France 24.
Every time they want to invite an Iran expert, they get somebody from NIAC. The most famous one is Trisha, what is it, Parsi?
Trita Parsi.
Right? Trita Parsi, right. That guy is the founder of NIAC. And, I mean, the regime itself has confessed to the fact that they are using these people for whitewashing themselves as a propaganda. These are propaganda.
The Washington Post has a whole expose.
Right.
We're talking about NIAC literally being the mouthpiece of the regime. It's not a conspiracy. I thought it was a conspiracy. It's not.
It's not a conspiracy, and they're still now, after all this being exposed, they're still invited everywhere. I don't understand. I get like when sometimes I'm not looking at my phone, and they're like, I'm listening to like big YouTube channels or famous news, coverage on YouTube or something, right? Or a podcast I'm listening to. They're like, and we have somebody from Iran, an expert from Iran with this and this. And I'm like, I'm not looking at my phone. I'm like, it's NIAC, isn't it? It's NIAC again, isn't it? And then I go look at my phone and I do a search on Google, like, yep, it's NIAC again. God damn it. Every time. It's so sickening. I'm so tired of these people.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And what is really hopeful, though, is that people in the diaspora are very conscious about this. Like, I went to a demonstration today, and one of the chants that they were chanting the whole time is NIAC supports dictators. Like, people are very conscious of this. Now, I will say people do send genuine, like, threats that are not okay to a lot of these people. But I mean, as someone who's gone through that, it's just not fun. And oh my God, the other good thing is that when these people that have been affiliated with NIAC get invited to speaking events, that the diaspora just like will not allow it. Like, they completely bombard all these organizations that allowed this with saying, this person is not our voice. This person is not our voice. And if the which has been very successful in getting a lot of these speakers removed or replaced. And if they're not removed or replaced, people will go and confront them during these speaking events in ways that are very, very powerful. So I think that's one like very effective way of mobilizing. But I just to put into perspective how freaking shameful this whole media blitz was. This is so fucking embarrassing. I want to give you a quote. This is from Iran Wire talking about this whole problem, saying, but regardless of this issue, Al Alam TV channel, which is affiliated with the state-run IRIB, denied the possibility of morality police being disbanded. This is a quote from state media. Quote, some foreign media have tried to interpret the words of the Attorney General as a retreat of the Islamic Republic on the issue of hijab and chastity, it said on December 4th, adding, quote, the maximum impression that can be taken from the words of Hojat Islam Montazari is that the morality police have not been under the supervision of the judiciary since its establishment. How fucking embarrassing is it that Iranian state media is coming forth and being like, guys, they're saying, guys, this is the most you can interpret from this statement. This enforcement is under a different branch of government. That's the most you can interpret. It's shameful. It's absolutely shameful. And here's what drives me crazy is that people might not understand why this is significant or why this is such a big deal or why this is such a big screw up. It's because when the New York Times and Al Jazeera are posting headlines, which is usually the only thing that most people see, the headline is that the morality police has been abolished, then to the international community, they are going to think, oh my God, we had a victory. Wow, good job, protesters. Like, you got what you wanted, you can go home, and they're going to stop paying attention to it because they're going to think that the aims of the movement have been achieved. And when it could not be further from the truth, because one, it's not true. It's just not true. Two, if it was true, the morality police would just be reestablished and rebranded under a different name, as has happened numerous times before. Okay, it would just be rebranded. Three, even if that wasn't the case, if it was 100% gone, then it would still not be a victory because that is not the demands of the protesters, and it has not been the demands of the protesters for the past 90 fucking days. It hasn't been the demand of the movement, of the uprising, of the revolution for the past 90 days. There's a very common phrase or chant that's said, and it's like, the hijab is the excuse, the aim is the Islamic Republic. This is what we're going for. We're not trying to abolish the morality police, mandatory hijab, blah, blah, blah. We're trying to abolish the Islamic Republic itself. So pushing this narrative to the international community that there's this possible victory and that this is only about the hijab, about the morality police. One, this is a reformist narrative. The reformist movement is dead. Okay, that's not what people want. I just saw Armin reacting like, oh my God, Susanna's going off. The other thing is, oh my God, when the international community has the impression that there has been this victory, which it isn't, then they are going to stop paying attention. And this is so insidious because it is because the international community driven by the fury of and sheer force of the diaspora that has had their energy and pressure on the freaking neck of the regime, like just destroying and cutting through their soft power left and right. So this is an attempt to gain that soft power back. To be like, oh, look, we got what we want. Okay, any continued interference or support, that's interfering with the, international or national sovereignty, blah, 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 blah. Okay. It drives me insane. if what this guy said was true, he's not even in a position of power over the necessary, the relevant branches of government. He's not even someone who makes this decision. So they took this one statement, one vague and inconclusive statement from one official to say it has been abolished. The New York Times, Bisharaf.
Okay. Yeah, the guy just literally said, like, it's not up to me. Somebody else might have abolished that. We're gonna keep doing what we're doing. That's basically what the guy said, and they just ran with that news. And you basically said all my points, Susanna. I have a list here, and you just said all of it. Especially the one, like, even if they ever, I mean, technically, the morality police has already been abolished because they're already doing it under a different name. I mean, they already, even before this news, they were like, what? Like, it's called Gashte Shard. They're like, what Gashte Shard? We don't have a Gashte Shard. Yeah, because people call it that. You call it something else. Like, so, like, what you could refer to morality police, they were like, oh, yeah, we don't have that. We have something else. The point is that they have armed forces that go after people for their job. That, like, just because they give a different name,
plainclothes
like,
officers, but CGs freaking running around harassing people. Yeah, but it's not the same green and white vans.
It has already changed name, and responsibility has already changed hands multiple times in the past few decades. So this is not. By the way, and like you said, if they ever get forced to not execute this law, because there are laws that they don't execute anymore because of the pressure by the people, right? But again, that's not what the people are asking for. I want to show you some videos of what the new enforcement technique is like. So unlike what people thought, like, oh, no morality police, that means like people are not going to be harassed. The government is actually trying to figure out how to continue enforcing this law. Like, there's like, okay, we have to come up with new creative ways on enforcing like this law. By the way, guys, we're getting a lot of super chats. I am starting them, so I am for us to read after our rant is over, right? Remember the leaked information, the hackers about the government leaked data that came out? And one of the enforcement methods was supposed to be to get Qatari women to go, instead of using, soldiers and police to enforce the
videos of this.
So before we saw the videos, we saw the leaked information suggesting the government is moving in that direction, right? So we were wondering if this leaked information is legit or not legit, and a lot of data suggests that it's actually legit because many people. Okay, so even the government has not denied it. They actually are saying that they're coming up with excuses for it, which suggests that these are correct leaked data, right? But now we see the new enforcement method. Again, this is not the entirety of the enforcement method, but let me actually show you two things, right? One video. Here. So there's two videos I want to show you.
I know, I saw this.
One, them trying to get prepared for it, and the other one in action. Okay. So this is Masih Najad saying, these are the women, Qatari women, getting ready in the metro station in Iran to go into the train and just take the law. These are basically civilian police, right? Trying to enforce Islamic laws, taking it. The government is trying to get its religious women to take the law into their own hand. They're like encouraging, like they because of all the pressure by the people, they're trying to reduce the pressure by the armed forces and get civilians go after civilians. And you can see that these are the pro-regime civilian women with the chador, which are ultra religious people in Iran. They're like gathering around and they're ready to go into the metro, into the train, and to harass the women who are not wearing the hijab. So let's watch the video first, and then I'll show you what it looks like in action. Okay? Wait, there's no audio. Is there any? Oh yeah.
شنبه 19 آذر ایستگاه اکباتان
So he's giving the date,
روی خط 4
the
اینجا دستی
location.
از بانوان رو میبینیم
Says, you see these women here?
چادری فاتی کماندو
They call them Fati Commando, right? Fati mean like Fati means like commando means commando. Fati means like Fatima, like religious. It's a religious name.
I thought it was like
So-
Fatimiun.
No. Fati is like a religious girl's name. So they call these type of girls like a woman Fati Commandos.
برای سرکوب و به اصطلاح ارشاد و امر به معروف
So
زنان که امروز هم
look at
رئیس ستاد امر به معروف گفته که خانم ها میتونن
So the religious officials in Iran, they're the institution that is responsible for commanding good and Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy anil Munkar, which is like a religious commandment to enforce Islamic laws by civilians.
اقدامات خودشون رو آتش به اختیار شروع کنن.
So they're getting ready to go to this guy is following them and recording them.
آمادن دسته قبل از اینها زودتر وارد کرد.
Okay, so he said there was a batch of other women that went in before these people, but let's look at how this looks in action, okay?
Well, I was
So-
wasn't he saying that basically they go to the train station and then they go in batches on different trains so that
Yeah,
they're
that's what he
present
said.
on all the different cabins.
Oh wow, you actually know a lot about this. Okay. So here's actually what it looks like in action, right? So Masih Ali-Najad caption says Iranian women resist morality police and kick out the harassers off the bus in Tehran. The woman who sent this what? I don't know. Video, okay. Video says we remove our hijab every day and no longer accept bullies from morality police. We will end this gender apartheid regime. So that's what the women without the hijab are shouting. So let's look at how intense this looks in practice, okay? So these are they come in batches. I haven't seen this is guys, can you let me know, is this something new in Iran? Okay, because when I lived in Iran for 20 years, I haven't seen women like, is this like a pandemic thing? Because we don't have niqabs in main cities in Iran. Is this a new trend? Or is this like
I think she might just be covering her face from the camera.
From the for the camera, yeah, maybe. Okay.
God damn.
So some people say that this is the Islamic Republic of Iran turning the people against each other. However, some other people say don't use that line, okay? These are not the people, right? This is the comeback to the narrative. These are not civilians, okay? They might pretend like, because even if you are a civilian, if you are now enforcing the Islamic regime laws, you are now the regime, right? So
if you're documenting people to hand over the evidence to special forces, IRGC, where women are systematically abused, RAPE'd, starved, left in medical neglect, yeah, you're enforcing state power.
So this is a bad line here. I disagree with this. Pakistan Patriot Force is saying assaulting religious people in Iran isn't right. That is not assault. What you just saw there was self-defense against harassment. They have these non-hijabi women, or may I say normal women, okay, have every right to defend themselves against such harassment. What you saw by these non-hijabi women attacking their harassers, that was self-defense.
They might have been the
also
first
look at
ones. They were the first one to throw hands, but when the person that you're engaging with is going to turn you into authorities that will torture you, yeah, it's self-defense.
Look at this. Change their mind and do not attack. Are you serious? This is like, imagine if in World War II you're invaded by Germany, like in France, okay? And there's SS officers, right? And you want to like take them out, and we're like, do not attack SS officers. Change their mind. There is no guys in Iran, the time for speaking and changing minds, that is over. This is an occupation of people. These are hostages. Okay? They do not negotiate with their captors. This is war.
I don't think people understand that situation is a life or death situation, because the consequences of that encounter is life or death. It might not be immediately life or death, but it is most certainly life-threatening. Let's be completely clear.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Hold on. We have a whole bunch of super chats that we need to address, right? Asim says, wait, why do I get a hey and you get an ishqa?
Oh,
I don't understand.
Oh, ishqa.
Hey, ishqa. By the way, ishqa means my love. So this is not fair. I'm getting
Juna.
Yeah, D was saying this didn't even sound believable. Boo Western media. I hope did they do a correction or not?
They updated their story a day later, and then they changed the title to Iran abolishes morality police, an official suggests, or something like that. But the damage was already done.
Yeah. We got a $5 super chat from Zagros. Thank you so much, Zagros. Zagros is saying, Armin John, do you know Hitchcus? And have you spoken to him? No, and I feel bad because you gave me a $5 super chat, and I wish I knew more about this. So
do you know who Hitchcus is?
No, do you?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay,
Hitchcus is the father of Iranian rap.
Oh my God. How do you know these things?
Yeah, and actually, Babak.
All right, go on. Tell us.
Babak, the head of our Atheist Republic Persian channel, actually met Hitchcus at the global rally for Iran in Berlin. He like ran into him there. So by the way, guys, go look up Hitchcus. He makes really good music. One of his songs that he put out in support of the protest is so good. I can't stop listening to it. And it's kind of funny because his name in Farsi means nobody. So yeah.
Oh, Hitchcast. Now I'm okay. Now I can read. Thank you. Now I can read it properly because I was like Hitchcast. I don't know. Hitchcast. Okay. Nobody. Okay. Zagros, apparently you need to ask her Iran-related questions to Susanna, not the Iranian ears. Oh my God.
I love how you're like, what the hell?
Oh my God. Susanna is oh, like, look, Persians in the live chat are shaming me. Qasim's like, shame on you, Armin. Susie's more Iranian than you.
But he's like the first generation of Iranian rap. He's like not even the latest. You know what I mean? Mustafa's being nice to Armin. Secular Sakai also
said, he would make a great guest. Maybe if you could like arrange something.
I actually really recommend that if you're on Twitter to follow Hitchcast, because he posts a lot of really good information and up to date news in English. So it's good for an international audience. Secular Sakai also gave us a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Secular Sakai. He's saying Iranian protesters should get in contact with Belarusian protesters. They've become experts of conducting regime destabilization operations. There's a bit of a language barrier.
Wait, let me see. Iranian protesters should get in contact with Belarusian protesters. They'll become experts of conducting regime. Yeah. I do think in general protesters around the world need to protesters against tyranny need to unite with each other, right? I still can't believe this, right? That I saw the Chinese protesters were chanting in support of Iranian women. Chinese protesters, while fighting against CCP, they were chanting Zan Zindagi Azadi. Like the
That's
Iranian,
so
like,
fucking cool.
that is amazing. That's such a beautiful message of solidarity. Like that just melted my heart. I'm hoping that Iranian people, like I saw Afghani women coming out. Afghani women, they're dealing with Taliban, and they came out protest in support of Iranian women. Like you're dealing like with your own like you are dealing with so much crap yourself at your home, and you have time to protest in defense of Iranian women. That is incredible. That is incredible. Okay, yeah. You're muted.
So Gossam was responding to when we were talking about what are the actual demands of the protesters, and he's saying protesters don't even demand that political prisoners should be free. We don't take them as a legitimate authority to even ask them. They must go. I think this is a really good point, because asking the regime for something is actually acknowledging their legitimacy.
Yeah, yes.
And so it's like, no, we're not asking you for anything. We're taking it back ourselves.
Yeah, actually, that's a very good point, because some people are like saying, protesting. There was one group that came out with a video message that we want a referendum by the regime now. And a lot of people are, like, we don't want a referendum, okay? Because a referendum means like you, the regime, will put on the referendum to see what the people want. We're not like, read our lips, get the hell out. We don't want you to give us anything. We don't want you to give us changes. We don't want you to get reforms. That time was like years ago. Your time is up. Like the only thing you could do is leave. Once you leave, we'll put out a referendum on what kind of a regime they want, but you do not get to put up a referendum for us, because there is no regime that we are willing to talk to. That's what the people are saying. The protesters are saying. All right, this
Secular Sakai gave us another super chat. Thank you so much. Saying Zan, Zendagi, Azadi, woman, life, liberty. Love it.
Yeah, actually, you're right. Woman, life, freedom, liberty actually rhymes better as a translation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gossip is saying, I prefer Kuzkash over Bisharaf. Bisharaf is too respectful for Islamic Republic, guys. Which actually reminds me of a very funny video I saw earlier this week. I sent it to Armin. Can I show it?
Yes.
I think, yeah, this is hilarious. Okay. Okay, I love this so much. Let me know if you don't have audio. Oh, wait.
I don't have audio.
Commentators, what is happening?
Wait, can you translate that for everyone?
So this is an American speaking Persian, and he says, we need to get up and be the voice of Iranian people. So an American, like, speaking Persian in very heavy American accent, but that's pretty cool. Yeah,
I love this.
What is happening again?
Okay, so these are swear words. These are Americans using Iranian swear words against Khamenei, and the Iranian people are loving it. The Iranian protesters.
So funny. I also really liked this because this made me realize what I sound like when I speak Persian. And I thought it was funny because I could understand them because I'm surrounded by so many people constantly cussing out the regime. Okay. What else did you want to show? It looked like
you had a video. You had a video.
Yeah, so the other really important thing that we need to talk about this week is should I pull it up or should you pull it up?
You pull it up because I need to
Go to the okay. So shoot, let me go for it. So this happened very recently, and so that's the only reason why it's not our number one story. But so the regime on December 8th announced the execution of the first known case of executing a protester who is associated with the Masa Amini uprising. And I say that only because, I mean, they've executed many protesters before, but with this wave of the protest and uprising, this is the first known execution. And so let me pull this up. The first known execution was a 23-year-old man. His name was Mohsen Shekari, and he was a barista, and he loved coffee and playing video games like God of War. And he was accused of allegedly blocking the road with trash can and injuring a Basiji paramilitary member. Not killing, not maiming, not putting in critical condition, just injuring a Basiji. And because of this, he was accused of muharebe, which means war against God or enmity against God, and also corruption in the land. And both of these are both very vague Islamic charges that carry the death penalty as punishment. And he was sentenced to receive the death penalty. And then he was very, very quickly executed. And so he died on December 8th. And I don't know, this just destroyed me. Like I cried myself to sleep. And I don't know, I really don't have words. Like the outpouring of rage is like something I don't have words for. Yeah.
So for him, it's just muharebe. His crime was only muharebe, which means war against God. Most of the affairs is for other people, right? So
you mean spreading corruption? Oh,
yeah, spreading corruption in the land. These are based on Quranic verses, by the way, muharebe. However, I mean, do you want me to go over the details of this?
what do you mean by this?
Okay, the main thing you have to understand about this execution is, as Susanna mentioned, this guy didn't even kill anybody. Okay, he had a knife. He was holding the street.
Allegedly.
I think it's that part is pretty accepted. You know that he was holding a knife.
I haven't seen any evidence about that.
I think there was a video, but to be okay. Let me make my point, Susanna. To be clear, I don't think that was wrong what he was doing, because he was fighting against armed forces. Like this was, so he was holding back the regime attacking the people, right? So I don't think I'm not, when I said that he was holding a knife against the regime, this is again part of the defense of the people against their oppressors. So I'm not saying, but my point, but that's not the point I'm trying to make. Okay, the point I'm trying to make is that he was. Can you bring him back on? Okay, it's okay. Let me just leave it like this. The point is that he didn't kill anybody. Okay, he was, even based on Islamic Republic standards, killing somebody that hasn't killed somebody for according to his own, this is why I know he was holding a knife, okay? Because according to himself, the injury that he caused, that Basiji member, didn't even require stitches. So that's how significant the wounds on that person, on the Basiji, was. Like, it was so light that it didn't require even stitches, right? So for that, he was executed. 2 points about the methods, the process. From the time of the arrest to the execution day, it took around 70 days. Okay? This is unbelievable, even based on Iranian standards. Even by Iranian standards, usually executions take at least 2 years, right? And then you have an appeal process, and then you have lawyers, and then you're constantly going back and forth, and you're struggling, and it's being evaluated, and then eventually you might get executed. These people did this whole process in 70 days. Another point is that he did not have access to a lawyer of his choosing. The lawyer was picked from him, and he was not allowed to pick his own lawyer. And the lawyer was a regime pick lawyer, just to make sure that everything is done in their way, right? This, by the way, the 70-day process is, you have to consider how short that is, because if you actually only count from the day of the court proceedings, it's like it was way shorter than 70 days. With 70 days, we're talking about from the time of the arrest. The court proceeding itself was a lot shorter than that. And this included the appeal process. Like, he got a death sentence, he appealed it, the appeal was rejected, and he was executed in such short amount of time for somebody that did not even kill anybody. The crime officially being war against God. There are 2 types of executions for a situation like this. As we saw in the leaked documents that was hacked, right, by Black Rivers, the hacker group, Khamenei himself would have preferred that these people were being executed by qisas. Qisas means that the family of the victim comes out and demands that the person being executed. But the regime told Khamenei that a lot of these people are giving up qisas, not asking for executions. So we can't execute enough people using qisas. So instead of the religious mandate of qisas, they're using the religious mandate of muharabeh, which means war against God. So even if the family of the members who are killed, so this person didn't kill anybody, but there are a whole bunch of people, guys, lined up for execution right now. This was the first one, right? But there are a bunch of people that are responsible for actually killing, being Basijis or armed forces, right? And they want to execute 5 or 6 for each one of them that died. Again, this is not even Islamic, right? Because Islamically, technically, if you even want to kill somebody, for execute somebody, you kill one person for one person who died, right? These people you just even if you were around that area encouraging it or helping in any way, they want to execute 5 or 6 for each person who was killed, right? So there's not enough for qisas, so that's why they're going with muharabeh. Do you want me to explain why the regime is doing this? Because this seems like a very bad idea.
Yes.
Strategically, okay? So this seems like a horrible idea right now. For why would the regime execute somebody like this, right? Given that it seems to be fueling the protest, executions sometimes go down, sometimes go back up again. But the execution itself seems to be fueling the protest. It gets people back in the streets, right? So some people are like, oh, the regime is executing people so that people are scared and they don't come in the streets, right? I do think that the regime, based on the audio and the leaked information that we had, it seems like the regime understands that this actually does the opposite. it doesn't scare people. It gets them angry, and you get more protests, right? So they do understand that. Also, this got a huge backlash from the international community. Huge backlash. Like, the world is shocked. 70 days. Like, how do you even get to defend yourself in such a short amount of time? Even, especially given that you can't even pick your lawyer, right?
I mean, we should just take a step back from that at all. Anything about this situation, this system, is illegitimate and medieval. Yes. Whether or not, the process was messed up. The process was messed up. This system is from the Dark Ages.
Yes, Susanna, but this makes it so apparent. Like, that is us saying that, okay? But the world does not see that sometimes until you see something like this. Like, it becomes so apparent. Like, sometimes people think like maybe we're exaggerating how bad the situation is, right? But when the regime takes somebody that's slightly injured, one of their forces, okay, and executes that person within 70 days after their arrest, without that person's lawyer being present, without any lawyer that person wants being present, the medieval nature of this regime becomes, and this is like all verified, like this is not gossip or unverified news. Like, this is because the regime broadcasted this. The regime was proud of this. The head of the judiciary system in Iran was bragging about how fast this was done. They were like, we did such a good job. We did it so, and he repeated it 3 times. He said that we did it fast, fast, fast. How do you see how good we are? Like, this guy is the head of the judiciary system, and he thinks the short amount that they took for this to happen is a bragging right of how efficient the regime is. Okay, so we're not telling you something that the regime was broadcasting the entire court proceedings. We saw what a big kangaroo. By the way, we can't show you the court proceedings because the confessions by the accused, by the victim, by the person who was executed, is considered by is a forced confession. We could see that we could see the videos of the time before his arrest that he didn't have bruises on the faces, but during his confession video he had bruises on his faces, right? And the regime didn't hide it. Like, the regime took the video of his forced confession from an angle where you could see the bruises on his face. This is a regime that is not ashamed to tell you that this was a forced confession. Like, they are not hiding it anymore. And the reason why we can't show you this on YouTube is because YouTube does not allow anybody showing forced confessions. But you could go find it on Twitter. So let me add a few other points. I was saying, why would Susanna? Why do you? This seems like even from a self-preservation perspective, the things I've said so far seems like this would be a bad idea. Like, even forget morality right now, right? Like, a regime is evil, blah blah blah. Okay, fine, whatever, right? If you are acting within your self-interest, why would the regime execute somebody and so fast, given that it fuels the protest? And right after the United Nations, coming down hard on starting an investigative team on Iran and increasing and Europe and North America increasing pressure on the regime on so much so that I don't know how the regime can even breathe both politically and economically anymore. So this, right after all that reaction, the regime is now doing this, which now has gotten a lot of backlash, and it is increasing the pressure on the regime both internally and internationally. What's your guess? Why would they do this?
Because they want to cater to their religious base, because they need to drum up support from the hardliners, because there is an extreme and deeply threatening amount of division amongst the hardliners. And as much as the uprising of the people has the ability to threaten the status of security of their government more than ever before, what really threatens the establishment is not actually those who are part of the uprising. What it threatens the establishment is the cracks amongst the hardliners, which is getting bad. So they have to do what they can to go to that base who is asking, why are you not killing these people in the streets by the hundreds? Why are you not going full 2019 bloody Abon on these people? Literally just shooting hundreds, thousands of people dead in the streets. Because that's what they're asking for. So they're signaling to their base that this is still who we are. We are still here to maintain an Islamic society. We are still here to maintain the spirit of the Islamic Revolution. And this is how we're going to enact it.
I couldn't have said it better myself. The regime fears its own supporters more than any other group. Okay? The international community, the protesters are all combined, United States, Israel, all of these pressures on the Islamic Republic combined are not nearly as terrifying to the regime as it's compared to its own supporters turning on it. The day that the regime's supporters turn on the regime, that's when the regime will topple. Okay? The regime needs its base, and the base was angry. The base is angry of why the regime is not gunning down the protesters. Their base was angry about why are we not seeing more executions. The base was angry about why women are staying in masses without hijab in the streets and nobody is arresting them. And the base, I am in these people's social media accounts and in their clubhouse rooms and Twitter rooms, and I'm constantly listening to what they're saying. They were promising in large numbers, if the regime continues to be so slow and so mellow in enforcing the Islamic laws, that they would turn on this regime. They constantly say that we did not give the blood of martyrs for an un-Islamic regime, right? So again, these people are the minority in Iran, but it is the base of the support. Even they're probably somewhere between 16 and 20% of the population, but the regime, because they're not going to gain back that 80%, okay? So if it loses this 20%, or if this 20% turns on each other, that is the end of the regime. So the regime wanted to appease them by giving them blood. These people want blood, and that was a sacrifice for them so that they're satisfied. And I mean, and it worked. They were so happy with this execution, right? So I think the regime is trying to test how much each side is pressuring it, right? This was one execution to see how satisfied the base would be. Like when I was in their rooms and stuff, they were like so happy about this execution. They were so happy. They were like, finally, the regime is doing something, right? So the regime is trying to see, like, give them some executions, see how much they will backtrack, how satisfied they are. See, they know that the protesters will increase, but they wanted to see how much the protests will increase. They know the international pressure will be high. They just wanted to see how high, right? So it's evaluating. That brings you into this equation right now, okay? Because the regime wanted to see if its supporters are saying, okay, that was good, but we want more. It wants to see how much more they want, how much they're going to pressure the regime for more executions. And it's going to also evaluate how many protesters will react in response to these executions. So if the protesters want, because there's so many people right now in line for execution, so many more people. So if the protesters want to show the regime that this was the bad idea, the best idea was to fill the streets in response. And if you are the international community, so when we're talking about the international community, you're part of that. The regime is also want to see how big of a backlash it's going to get from these executions. The bigger the backlash from the international community, the less of a chance that these executions will carry, or it will be less. Guys, we saw previously, because of international pressure, previous executions in Iran were canceled because of international pressure. This is not something that we're just guessing. We have seen this time and time again. International pressure does force the regime to cancel executions, right? So you could be a small but important part of this calculation. By sharing news like this, you are adding to the voices that is not letting this go unnoticed. Okay? You talking about it, you tweeting about it, you sharing videos like this, okay? Or any other videos or articles about this, social media algorithms will pick up the fact that this is trending news. Mainstream media will pick up on this and cover it. Politicians will notice that people are talking about this. The Islamic Republic of Iran itself will notice that this is becoming more of a headline. Okay, so you need to make a bigger noise than regime supporters. You need to be a bigger force against the regime than the supporters of the regime are right now in Iran, asking for more blood. You need to make this difficult for the regime. That is your job.
To that point, there's actually a specific case that I want to raise awareness about. So there are a huge number of people who have been sentenced to death, but there are specific protesters who people are raising the high alarm on, and who the people are reporting as they fear an imminent execution of next is this young man. He's 23 years old. His name is Mahan Sandarat. And it's been reported that he's been moved to solitary confinement, which is usually a move where they take you before you're executed. So I would really, really ask everyone to, on your social media, just make a simple post about Mahan. You use hashtag Mahan Sadrat and hashtag stop executions in Iran, hashtag do not execute. These are the most trending hashtags. And like Armin said, we have seen in the past, it is true that it does have an impact. It actually does have an impact and ability to save people's lives when we make noise about this. We've seen it before, and we can do it again. It's critical that we do it again. This is not negotiable. So I wanted to really make sure that we highlight the case of Mahan, and so that more people know that this is who we need to have our eyes on 100% right now.
This is okay. So I wanted to highlight this actually, guys, because this is actually one of the most disgusting parts of this execution. Okay, Zagros is asking, how do they execute? By the way, is it hanging? Yes, it is hanging. However, it's not the type of hanging that you think. Okay, because hanging in like what you see in like what it was like in the Western United States before, or in other places in the world, the hanging is the way they hang is that they put the neck around they put the rope around your neck, and there's a trapdoor that opens and you drop and your neck breaks and you die. That's how you die, right? But that is too civilized for the Islamic Republic of Iran. In Iran, they put the rope around your neck and they slowly lift you. Okay? So it's not because your neck breaks. You slowly suffocate and die. And the pressure on your neck is so high that some people chew their tongue out while they're slowly dying. Right? So even when it comes to hanging, they don't do it the way that it happens mostly in the world when people they hang people, where they just I don't understand why. Like, these people are like, you know how I say most Muslims are better than Islam? Okay, these people are worse than Islam, because literally. Islamic execution is not as sadistic. In Islam, execution is beheading by a sword, and it needs to be clean and fast. This Islamic Republic has come up with the most sadistic method of execution, not even prescribed by Islam. I don't understand. Like, what they want to teach people a lesson. I guess that's what they're doing. I want to show. Okay, Susanna, you want to show that video?
Yeah.
So before you show that video, let me make a point about this video that you're about to show. Okay. So Mohsen Shakari, people assume that he has no family or anything, that he's completely alone, because right up until his execution, nobody of his family was coming out and trying to ask for his release or anything like that.
They weren't publicizing it.
They weren't publicizing. Okay. But this is because the regime, shortly after his execution, this video that Susanna is about to show you came out, which showed that was not right. He did have a family and they did care for him, but they were lied to by the regime, because the regime sometimes this happens time and time again. They come and tell the family that we will release your son. Your son your child has a chance of being released if you do not publicize this. Don't go talk to the media. Don't go talk to BBC. Don't go talk to Iran International. If you do, they are more likely to be executed. And the parents, to save their own child, they don't come and talk, and they actually execute them. When the chance, we have seen this has been proven over and over again, that the families that believe that line and don't come and publicize it. I mean, I'm not blaming the family, because they're under so much pressure and they don't know this data, right? Their children actually do get executed. So what you're about to see is a mother that was most likely told that your son would be released. Do not talk to the media. If you do talk to the media, the execution chances are higher. And this is a mother that, like so many other mothers, is discovered that she was lied to right after she was given the news that your son has been executed. Again, this is why they tell the parents in Iran that if the regime tells you not to publicize the news, you have to publicize it. If you publicize it, you have a much higher chance of your child not getting executed. You have to come out and talk and talk and talk. You have to get the sympathy of the people. If the people in Iran see the parents, there will be so much more pressure on the regime to not execute, and that does have an effect. So this is now. You want to describe what we're about to see?
This is the moment that his family learns that he's been killed.
The mother, yeah. So this is the mother in the street, just getting the news that her son was executed. Go. So Mohsen is her son. She's calling out the name of her son. Again, remember, this is somebody who was killed that didn't even kill anybody. This is a person that did not even kill anybody. I'm sorry.
I mean, it just is one of those situations where there are like really no words. And like there's so much stuff happening in the background that is so brutal that, like, I can't talk about publicly. I don't know. And I really, oh, fuck. I don't have words for the feeling I get. Like, my heart burns. And to have people, like, I'm under no delusion. Like, I want to be sensitive to the fact that, like, this isn't my story. This isn't my community. This isn't, I mean, it is my community, but I mean, you know, this isn't where I come from. But to be in such close community with people who are losing their loved ones, to see that firsthand, to see the gruesome way in which they lose their family, to know that there are so many people that are never going to be the same again. To see the people that I love and care about, like, just be so continuously traumatized to a depth that you cannot describe. So many people I love who have been made homeless by this barbaric regime. Millions of people, you know, made homeless from their homeland. Generations. I have, you know, people that message me from different areas of Iran and tell me what's happening, or sometimes I'll be in the Persian Discord with Armin, and then someone on the call will have to be like, oh, I have to go right now because they're shooting outside.
I just want to mention that the things that you're saying is like a constant thing that a lot of Iranians are exposed to, okay, like on a daily basis. It used to be on a monthly basis, now it's on a daily basis. But some of the anger that you're seeing against the regime, and some of it, like a lot of the anger that you're seeing, if you see sometimes Iranians are taking extreme measures against this regime, you have to understand that once you're constantly exposed by this much injustice, it's hard to imagine anything that would not be worth getting this regime up. Like doing anything would be worth it. Like there are many Iranian people that think that enough sacrifices, enough blood, enough loss of innocent lives, right? Whatever means necessary. And this is the part that they insist on, okay? This regime needs to go by whatever means necessary. And so anybody coming and lecturing to them that they need to chill out, they need to take it slowly, they need to be more gentle. If they don't take that very well, if they do not appreciate that kind of a feedback from you, is because of all this. Is because of the constant injustice that they're feeling on a daily basis.
It just shows how out of touch you are. That kind of rhetoric is a luxury. It's a fucking luxury. Talk with these people. Talk with these people when they're trying to turn you into the authorities that could torture you to death. That will RAPE your children. Because they can, because they want to strike fear into your community. But talk to them.
Actually, let me tell you. Let me give you an example, okay? So the head of the judiciary system, when the protest was like, I think 1 month in, he said he came out publicly to the people, okay, that let's talk, right? He invited the people to come and talk. Like, you guys have complaints. We understand. We have some problems. Come and talk to us. We could figure these things out, right? And there was this guy, Hossein Ronari, okay? He was constantly opposing the regime, okay? And because of his speaking, there was an arrest warrant for him, right? And he himself went to turn himself in. He went to the police station to turn himself in. They attacked him in front of the police station and started beating him. And he was yelling, I'm giving myself up. I'm here to surrender. Stop.
He's going to the
me.
prosecutor's office.
I am here willingly. Why are you beating me? Like, you don't need to pressure me. I walked here. And then people are like, look, they're telling us to talk to us. And this is what they mean. What? There is no talking to you.
You just have to look at history. Negotiation. When they tried to negotiate with Kurds and they had a meeting in Vienna, they assassinated the people that they went to negotiate with. You can go find this. They got shot up in their meeting room in Vienna. A whole squad of people. That's how they treat negotiations.
And yet the regime keeps saying, like, by the way, this whole idea of let's talk, the regime says, like, let's talk. And then when people talk, they send people to arrest them. Like, this is just a show. The whole let's talk idea is a show. Anyways, we need to move on.
I just realized that I was using the wrong mic the whole time, and I'm really, really angry at myself because this was an important segment.
That's okay. Your audio was fine. Oh yeah, Qasim has a good line here. Qasim is saying, we will talk, but just about how they want to leave as soon as possible. Yeah. Like, yeah, and also if the Iranian people ever get the upper hand, right? Why should they talk to when the regime had the upper hand? Their method of talk was just spilling blood. So now a lot of Iranian people are like, okay, when we get the upper hand, why should we talk to you any differently? You know, well, like, oh, now that if you are at the weaker, now that you are at a weaker position, should we keep talking to you the way you talk to us? Anyways, these are people's lines. Yeah. Yeah, people are saying you sounded fine. You sounded great.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, we should move on.
Moral of the story is that I would really, again, like to encourage people that you can take action. You can help the people of Iran by, particularly right now, we need as many people as possible highlighting and keeping their eyes on the case of Mahan Fadrat. So please hashtag his name, hashtag do not execute, hashtag stop executions in Iran. These are the hashtags that we really want to be trending because it has happened before. This does have the power to literally save people's lives. So I think it's well worth your 2 minutes.
Yes.
Please and thank you.
And Qasim is saying, thanks for echoing our voices, guys. You're the best. Oh, thank you, Qasim. And Secular
Stay safe,
Sakai
my
is saying,
friend.
Secular Sakai is saying, oh yes, Qasim. Please stay safe. Revolution is rarely bloodless. It is not for the faint of heart, and it walks a thin line. And again, guys, if the Iranian people choose violence, they actually did not choose violence. Violence was forced upon them. Okay? If the Iranian people ever use violence, it was not their decision. It's rarely the people's decision. Getting to violence is the regime's decision. It's the choice of the regime. It's forced upon the people. No people, like there's very few revolutions happens that the people decide to use violence when the regime is not using violence itself. Right? It's self-defense. This is not an act of aggression. This is an act of self-defense. Anyways, so can we clap for the next news?
This is not something we support, but in comparison to what we just talked about, like I could use a clap.
Okay. Okay. Next news. Indonesia
bans premarital sex in new criminal code.
Boo.
Boo. On December 6th, Indonesia's national legislature passed a new criminal code that will criminalize premarital sex. The new code will apply to Indonesians and also foreigners. The punishment for sex outside of marriage could be up to a year in prison. It's like 6 months to a year. Aside from premarital sex, the new code would also penalize the cohabitation of unmarried couples, insulting or expressing opinions against the president or the state, and staging protests without a permit. Critics criticized these specific provisions of the criminal code as being against civil liberties. Business groups, newspaper outlets, human rights activists, and legal experts agreed that this new criminal code could inflict damage on Indonesia's reputation as a destination for both vacation and investment. However, some Indonesian officials defended the new criminal code. Can you believe this shit?
I mean, I don't like. Do these people hate money?
Yeah, well, they gotta. You gotta hate money.
Like, Indonesia is a major destination for tech entrepreneurship and business hub and investment destination. And like its economy has grown significantly. A lot of it because of attracting tourism and business professionals and meetings and negotiation hub for different companies. Why so many rich people and future rich people have chose Indonesia as not just their destination to visit, but as a place to set up shop and do business because of its welcoming nature to all this investment and business activity and tourism. This is like a huge red flag. This is like a sign, like, do not come here. Like, people who are not Muslim, who do not have a problem, like when foreigners like Americans, Canadians, Europeans, like obviously a lot of them want to have sex before marriage. Why would they choose Indonesia as a destination if this is on their law books? Like, if this is like I don't like. Do you understand how many people are gonna be like, okay, I guess I'm not gonna go to Indonesia. I guess I'm not gonna go there. Do you know how many young couples would like to live in Indonesia? And
oh my god!
And they're like, okay, but we're a couple, but we're not married. Are like that. And some people are like, oh, it won't be enforced. Well, do you want to try and figure that out? Like, you don't understand if it's
Hell
not
no.
being enforced. Okay, some people we don't know how much this is going to be enforced. Okay, but this is even more stupid if it's not being enforced, because you are like, people are like, oh, don't worry, Armin. Like Pakistani pictured force in the live chat here saying it's not going to be enforced. Okay, first of all, we don't know. Okay, but it's more idiotic if it's not being enforced, because you're not getting this what you think is the benefits, the Islamic values from it, and you're getting all of the harm. What moron would want to try to see if this is actually being enforced or not? They already are people don't want to go to jail. Why would they look at this as an option for tourism or an option for living as an entrepreneur, as a young entrepreneur? All the entrepreneurs that Indonesia has attracted, well, not all of them, but a lot of them are young, age before marriage. They're not going to give up sex because of Islam. So why would they want to live there? And how many of them are going to leave Indonesia because of this? Like, what is up with this? Dude, this must, to me, suggest that the Islamic forces in Indonesia are becoming stronger than the force of money.
Jesus.
Okay? So that is scary. Like, if Islam is having such a major influence right now on Malaysia and Indonesia, more than the forces of investment and money, that shows how destructive Islam could be.
One thing that's really important to understand is that with the premarital sex ban, that and people are bringing this up in the live chat, is that the law, the criminal code, the new criminal code is very specific in saying that the only people that can credibly report you for this kind of a quote unquote crime is basically your first degree of family. So that would be like your parents,
the mother
your children,
of the Yeah, let's take.
And no, let me finish. This is supposed to be a way to prevent people from just turning people in and just making stuff up and just using rumors and But like, parents do this against their children all the time. They utilize this state to enforce their will against their children all the time in many different countries. This happens constantly in India.
It doesn't even have to be against your children, okay? You could do it against the guy that is sleeping with your daughter, right? So, for example, let's say you're a young entrepreneur from the UK, right? And you go to Indonesia. Okay, you're like, oh, this is a good hub. Like, they have a very good tech nomad culture. I want to go and work there, make a lot of connections. Indonesia is famous for that, right? You go there, like, oh, maybe I'll like chat up with some cute Indonesian girls. Okay, next thing you know, your father might be reporting you, right?
Oh my God.
Right? I mean, people like this will not be enforced. If it's up for reporting by the parents, then they are forced to enforce it. There's this idiot in the live chat again is like, it's going to be like Pakistan. Just because they don't enforce it in Pakistan, they were not going to enforce it in Indonesia. You don't know that. And also, if they are basing it off of reporting by the parents, then the parents, if they report it, they would want a follow-up. They're like, excuse me, I am making a report. What? And this is the law. Like, this is not, they're making it semi-civil law, right? It's not like just criminal law. It's like, because it's based on the report of the parents, if the parents come and enforce it, now that you have this on the book, now the parents have grounds for complaining to the government about, like, hey, I made an official report against these people. How come you're not enforcing their laws on the book? Like, now that person has enough legal merit to push the government about, like, why is my complaint not being taken seriously, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know if can you use this as a way to like take some money from tourists? You know, you could be a father that just like uses your daughter as a way to go and flirt with tourists, and as soon as you get them, you're like, okay, you just had sex with my daughter, sir. I'm about to go speak to the government. Maybe unless, I don't know. I could be convinced otherwise, but right now I'm feeling very much like I'm going to go report this. This could be a father-daughter. This could be a father-daughter operation in action. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh my God. So one thing that is important is that this law is not set to be enforced for another 3 years, but this has been passed. I want to read a few things about like statements about why, about why this happened or their aims, So, quote, the aim is to protect the institution of marriage and Indonesian values while at the same time being able to protect the privacy of the community and also negate the rights of the public or other third parties to report this matter or playing the judge on behalf of morality. It's not easy for a multicultural and multi-ethnic country to make a criminal code that accommodates all interests. So, like, oh my God, this is multiculturalism. Like, and this is supposed to be like a moderate Islamic country, but they have a province where you get lashes for premarital sex already. Eggs Cosmic in the live chat is saying, by the way, I'm Indonesian. On the news, the government tries to justify this by saying that this is progress for Indonesia because now we use our own law instead of Dutch colonial law. Oh my God. This is like the worst application of decolonization theory I've ever seen. Holy crap.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, not great. Not a fan. And one thing that I was thinking about, the other thing that's not getting as much of a headline is preventing people from cohabitating before marriage. And I think that that's such, oh my God, that's just so backward and also really unfortunate for so many people who economically, this is how they have to survive, right, as a couple. And so now they're just going to be forced into the institution of marriage, whether or not they want it, because this is how they can afford their lease or whatever. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Indonesia and Malaysia are like going, Islam is like taking over people's personal lives more and more. I heard in Malaysia, they have private companies coming in and checking offices are like coming in and making sure your offices are, Sharia compliant and checking everything for you, giving you advice. Like imagine if you're like a big company in the United States, right? Like, and you have offices in Indonesia, and like, I don't know what these Islamic mumbo jumbo is. So you get a consultant coming in and just be like, okay, this is now, I just made your office Sharia compliant.
Oh my God. What a fucking waste of resources.
I know, right? God damn it. And Indonesia has so much potential. You have no idea. Like, guys, Indonesia is on the way to becoming an economic superpower in East Asia, okay? And don't slow it down with stupid crap like this.
Zagros is saying it's Sharia OSHA. For those who aren't from the United States, that's the department that is for like worker and labor safety. Almond Milk brings up a good point. What if Indonesia decolonized from Islam?
That's a good comeback. That's
Almond Milk. You're starting to ask some good questions. You're starting to think a little bit too critically. Okay. Yeah. Oh, Agus is also bringing up a very good point, saying actually they tried to pass the laws since 2019, but during the time the students managed to organize a massive protest against it. So they delayed it and revised a bit. And the other thing that's really concerning is the severe restrictions that are now included on freedom of speech against like insulting or criticizing the president or the state. Like that is so deeply insidious, and I'm not going to go on my full free speech like soapbox right now, but obviously if you have a problem with, say, the premarital sex ban and you don't have the ability to criticize the state because that is now criminalized, what ability do you have to redress the government and say, hey, I'm not pleased with what you're passing. This isn't representative of my values. This isn't representative of the wills of my community. Now you can't even voice that, so now you can't even fight for your own rights. So this is why, or, a quick explanation of why free speech is the bedrock of a liberal society. And the most important value, in my opinion. But before we go to the next segment, very importantly, Secular Sakai gave us a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Secular Sakai.
Thank you, Secular Sakai.
He is asking, is this going to increase prostitution via temporary marriages and hotels like what has happened in some other Islamic countries? Personally,
No.
I have no idea if temporary marriage is frequent or common in Indonesia, but
No,
I don't imagine so. That's
Indonesia
that's
is
a Shia
mostly
thing.
Sunni. Yeah, temporary marriage is mostly a Shia thing. Sunnis actually, actually many Sunnis who are anti-Shia use the idea of temporary marriage in Shia Islam as a way to show how vile and disgusting Shia Islam is. They're like, oh, look at how can this be Islam? They have legalized prostitution. This is obviously they don't have the right Islam if they have legalized prostitution. So that's mostly so exactly. But thank you again for the super chat.
I mean, the Shias, they do be doing some weird stuff. This we can all agree on.
It's temporary marriage for a fee. So Sunnis are like, that's just prostitution
with extra steps.
With extra steps. All right. Oh, look at this. It's so cute. He's so upset that I called him stupid. Oh, this is oh, it's so butter. I love it when this guy gets he's like, I'm so smart. I got good grades in school. I'm not.
He started listing off his degrees.
There's literally a subreddit for this. There's a subreddit called I Am Smart, and people are like, oh, do you know I got good grades in school and I have this degree. I'm not stupid, you're stupid. This is literally the face of the subreddit I Am Smart. Go check it out. You sound exactly like that. Oh my god, I'm sorry. Crying. It's such a crybaby. All right, can we clap for the next news?
Yeah, this is wild. Wait,
didn't we cover this?
No.
Okay, it seems similar to something that we covered recently. Okay. All right,
next news. Thai Buddhist temple left empty after monks test positive for meth. Recently, a local Buddhist temple in the Bongsang Phan district of Thailand defrocked all the monks after they failed drug tests, leaving 0 monks left in the temple last month. The abbot and 3 other monks tested positive for methamphetamine. According to a district official, the monks were sent to undergo drug rehabilitation in a health clinic. The monks were outed on November 28th following a national campaign to tackle drug trafficking when the police administered urine tests in the temple. However, it is unclear how the temple garnered the attention of the police authorities. Bunlerthin Taptai, a district official, said, quote, the temple is now empty of monks and nearby villagers are concerned that they cannot do any merit making. Merit making is an essential ritual in Buddhist practice and involves bringing goods and agreeable results and determines the quality of the next life and contributes to a person's growth towards enlightenment. And you can do things like this by providing food to the monks and things like that. So if there are no monks that you can bring food to, how do you earn merits? According to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, drug-related seizures in Thailand reached an all-time high in 2021.
Okay, now I know people in the live chat told me why I thought that we covered this. This was brought up by D on the Q&A.
Oh.
Yeah, so actually, let me tell you what I thought about this. This, to me, suggests that Buddhism isn't this such a bad PR for Buddhism? Because these are monks, so they need to be at the top of their game when it comes to mental health, peace of mind, being content. But apparently they need meth. Right? So I don't know. This kind of suggests that maybe Buddhism doesn't work, like the meditation practices and everything you need to do to, fix your I mean, these are. So here's the thing: we normies, okay, who are not like Buddhist monks or whatever, right? We are below these people because we are too attached to the world. Buddhism helps you be above all of that, be detached from earthly pleasures and be, at a higher level of enlightenment and all of that, right? But now we see these monks are actually more attached in a more toxic way to the world than the most of us, most of so. Yeah, like we are attached to the world, but not to this extent. So these people are addicted to the worst parts of what this world has to offer. So like all that high and mighty, claims about being, you need Buddhism as a path to enlightenment and being detached, and this is it just seems kind of hollow now when the news like this. What do you think? Yeah.
To be honest, I don't think this has anything to do with Buddhism whatsoever. I think this has
no. Let me. I have to interrupt. I didn't say they are doing meth because they're Buddhists. So that's not my claim. Again, let me clarify. My claim is that Buddhism doesn't seem to be working for detachment and enlightenment and being at a higher level with your mind purposes. Okay, so the claim of Buddhism, I didn't say Buddhism makes you go on meth. It makes you like become addicted. Okay, I said that Buddhism's goal in trying to make you be mentally above the rest of us doesn't seem to be working. That's what my claim is. Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think to be honest, I don't think this is a good point. I think it's something that's just funny to say is a meme. Okay, I don't think that's like something you could have as a legitimate criticism in any way, because this is mostly to do with the fact that, and this is something I just learned about recently, or doing research for this, that apparently Thailand is absolutely flooded with meth because they're so close to Myanmar, which is the world's largest producer of methamphetamine. And you can get pills of meth for as little as $1.40. So it's just it's everywhere. And so I think that this is a larger, it's symptomatic of that issue.
Let me give you another example, okay? Let's say, for example, in another country, child abuse was this systematic issue, a problem. Okay.
Oh, you're gonna die on this hill?
Yes. But we saw that not only the priests, the Christian priests, were not a force against it, they partake in it. Right? So what I would conclude from that, what that might suggest, is that being like a priest who's supposed to be morally superior, not only is not stopping you from being, morally disgusting like the rest of the people who are taking part in such abuse, disgusting behavior, they might be doing it even more. I mean, in this temple, it was 100% test positive, right?
Yes.
So what I'm saying,
actually one thing I didn't say is that it was like a temple of like 4 or 5.
Okay. So again, I'm not claiming this proves it, but what I'm saying is suggests just like when we see religious, like in mosques, religious leaders abuse children, and like this seems to go against the idea of religious leaders being above all of this, being moral exemplars for society. Okay. So again, I'm not saying that Islam teaches you to abuse children, but it just seems like if it doesn't make you less moral, it doesn't seem to make you more moral, right? So with this Buddhism, I'm not saying Buddhism teaches you to use meth, okay? It doesn't teach that, but it doesn't seem to be protecting you from the weaknesses that others are inflicted by. It doesn't give you the mental strength and stability and fortitude to be like, not fall for stuff like this.
I mean, if you're really going to go all the way with this point, people are just going to say, Armin, this is anecdotal. This is one temple of like less than 10 people.
Exactly. That's why I say it doesn't prove it. It might suggest it.
I have to say there are so many hilarious comments in our live chat right
now. What? Read them.
Oh my God. Mogambo is saying that this is the quickest way to Nirvana.
Yeah, yeah. I remember.
D is saying that's my favorite. Shriyash is saying, what does a meth high look like though? I've heard it's used to increase work efficiency since it's a chemical structure similar to Adderall. Adderall is medical grade meth. Okay, let's be clear. In the early stages, yeah, you can get some sort of like work efficiency or hyperfixation, but it is a demon drug, I would say. And if you would like to see what it really looks like in real life, I invite you to come to San Francisco, where you can see people in states of open psychosis all over the city any day of the week. As someone who was a close friend of someone who dealt with a meth addiction, seeing them go through the come down after a high was literally like a traumatic experience just to witness. I've never seen someone look more tormented by their own brain and a shell of themselves. So it would be a 100% out of 10. Do not try. Please, no. Don't. Just no. Not even once. Not even once.
Yeah.
D, you just killed me. D is saying breaking Buddhists.
Like, so I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name, but this guy said that the temple is now empty of monks, and nearby villagers are concerned that they cannot do any merit making. Merit making is an essential to Buddhist practice. Merit brings good and agreeable results, determines the quality of the life, and contributes to a person's growth towards enlightenment. Okay, 2 questions. Okay, what are the chances that merit is just code for meth? Now, like, the people are like, guys, like, we really need merit here. Like, are you sure is the temple really closed? Like, guys, like, can I get some of that merit now? Like, when are the new monks coming in? So, but again, I mean, even if it's not that, which I don't think it is, but merit is supposed, like, these people are like, oh no, we don't have any monks anymore. Where do we get our merit, which is supposed to be good and agreeable results and increase the quality of life and bring us towards enlightenment? I mean, shouldn't you be questioning the fact that your sources of bringing quality and agreeable results to life were people that were high on meth? You know, like, shouldn't you question the ways in which you're doing things? Like, oh no, these people, we got rid of these people that were bringing agreeable, like, were supposed to be a path for enlightenment. Maybe, like, that's not a good source of enlightenment. I don't know. I mean, just a thought. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. As much as everything is like all jokes and stuff, I don't want to trivialize like how serious this is, because like watching people destroy their lives this way is something I'll never forget. So please don't try this. Please, 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 please.
Yes. I mean, if you don't know how destructive meth is, then I don't know, where have you been?
A lot of people do, but they think that it won't hurt them just one time.
No, this is not one of those things that you could do one time.
This is like a never, not once. Like,
I don't. Yeah, it's very difficult to get off of it if you just try it even once. I heard almost impossible.
Yeah, I don't know it's brutal.
Yeah. All right. Can I clap?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Next
news. Singapore removes gay sex ban, but it's not all good news. Recently, Singapore's parliament unanimously voted to repeal Section 377A of its penal code, removing the colonial era ban on sex between men. Last August, Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong announced, quote, sex between consenting men should not be criminalized. There is no justification to prosecute for it, nor make it a crime. Well, the Singaporean legislature voted to remove the ban on gay sex. Many LGBT individuals and groups were still disappointed because Prime Minister Loong also promised to protect the definition of marriage between a man and a woman from being challenged constitutionally in courts. Home Affairs Minister K. Shanmugam said, quote, we will try to maintain a balance to uphold a stable society with a traditional heterosexual family values, but with space for homosexuals to live their lives and contribute to society. So here's what went down. Like they officially repealed this area of the penal code left over from the colonial era that made it, a crime for gay men to have sex. And it's one of those ways that colonial law would say like, against sex that is against nature. Like those are the kind of terminologies that they would use. But the problem is that as they made this move, they pushed it, they amended the Constitution so that you basically they're going to be unable to challenge the definition of marriage in the legal system. So the way that in the United States or Taiwan, gay marriage became federally recognized is by challenging is through the judicial process. And so they amended their constitution to basically make that next to impossible. So a lot of people are happy about this repeal being officially off the books. Apparently it hasn't been enforced for a very long time, but maybe around 20 years, maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little give or take, but it was still technically on the books and kind of used to ostracize people. So it is good that it's repealed, but then other people are like, hey, we still had something like very important that a door has just been closed on us in other ways.
I mean, a lot of people in the live chat are expressing what I wanted to say because, like this one, Shreya is saying Singapore is so developed. I never expected them to have a gay sex ban. Yeah, I thought so. When I thought Singapore, I would think like very modern, very advanced, very progressive country. Also a destination to a world-class like business and tourism and entrepreneurship. So it's very weird for me that Singapore is this behind and that is still behind apparently. Even after this, it's still not. I mean, it's Singapore, for crying out loud. This is like one of the richest, most tech developed, futuristic. Singapore seems to be a country that is that you look at it like, oh, this is what the future is. Apparently not when it comes to
the rest of us are just trying to catch up. That's what you would think.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen Singapore? Singapore is like the image of the future. So I don't know what is up with
they're
this.
like, diabolically clean.
And it's just not, they're okay. So it's like a more real, less cartoonish version of the future compared to the Gulf Arab countries. Like more green, more smarter, a lot more financially sustainable than what they have. I mean, I like how much, like, look at when you just put Singapore and you go to Google Images, you look, I love how much they focus on, it's not just futuristic, it's also green.
Yeah. It's so beautiful. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That looks like something out of like Avatar, like all those green buildings. Yeah, it's so cool.
This is not like concept models. This is now. This is Indonesia now. Okay.
Singapore.
Oh, sorry, Singapore, not Indonesia. Right. Look how cute it is. And the streets are so beautiful, and then you get a little bit of, Buddhism and cute versions of, Hinduism and even Islam and Christianity. Like you see, like they're all right next to each other. But they have Muslims and they have Islam and mosques, but there's nothing of that being used as a way to make it seem like it's an Islamic country. Like it's not forced upon anybody. It's just Muslims just doing their thing, right? So it's very progressive.
I would not describe Singapore as progressive.
No? Okay.
What?
Well, that's
I mean,
what I...
They're so
okay. That's what
restrictive of civil liberties. Like they are very desegregated, but it's like forced desegregation, forced integration. Like it does make people get along, but is that in a way that's organic? There's not any real, like, civil discourse isn't allowed in a very fruitful way.
Okay, so what I meant by progressive is that my wrong interpretation of Singapore was that it's progressive. Like, if you ask
it's
me,
very restrictive when it comes to civil liberties.
Yeah.
It has a nice exterior. Don't get me wrong. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Would I call it a liberal society? Not necessarily. And I'm not trying to act like I'm super well versed.
Okay, well, let me make your point. Is chewing gum still illegal in Singapore?
Okay, let's go ask our good sis Google. Is chewing gum illegal in Singapore? Since 2004, an exception has existed for therapeutic, dental, and nicotine chewing gum, which can be bought from a doctor or registered pharmacist. It is not illegal to chew gum in Singapore, but it is against the law to import and sell it, apart from the aforementioned exceptions. So it sounds like it's extremely difficult to come by. A doctor has to give it to you.
If you want gum, you need prescriptions from doctor. It used to be illegal for everybody, but now apparently because some people need it for getting off cigarettes and stuff, they are making exceptions. But it's like drugs now. If you want to get gum, you have to get.
Puya is saying eating a durian in an elevator is also illegal. That's so specific.
That is very specific.
Which is so random, but somehow that makes it more believable. And here's the thing. Because I know that a lot of the chewing gum stuff comes from wanting everything to be very clean. And I speculate that might be the motivation between the durian in the elevator ban, because just the vision of eating a durian in an elevator seems very sticky and messy, which seems against the whole spirit of the chewing gum situation. So, I kind of, I can believe that. In fact, I understand.
We have official.
Oh my God, Puya said that they literally confiscated my gum when I was entering the country. They do not play around. Oh my God.
They look at they search your suitcase for gum. Okay.
Take it more seriously than Australia handles, Scheduled 1 drugs. Have you ever been to Singapore?
Yeah, twice. Yeah.
I really want to go. It's not on the top of my list, but I would like to go one day.
I feel like I missed out on the, I didn't. When I went there, it didn't look as futuristic as I'm saying it right now. I don't know. Maybe this is new because it was a while ago. Okay, so I have to go back. I think I missed out on the best times of Singapore. I have to.
Armin's like disappointed.
Yeah, no, I remember when I went to Singapore, I was like, there's not much to do here. Like the best it had to offer was a sea lion that that was shooting water out of his mouth. That was like the best that I got from Singapore. Like, okay, there's a statue of a lion, mermaid lion, a sea lion, and the water is shooting out in the water. That was the tourist attraction. Okay, so I was like, I should have never gone to Singapore. I should have stayed in Malaysia. Malaysia and Thailand had more to offer. But now I'm looking at pictures of Singapore. I'm like, damn, Singapore would be nice. I'm like, is this new? Because I don't remember it like this. I think these are all new. Yeah. All right, can we clap for the next news? Oh yeah. You have Universal Studios, yeah. Okay. Can we clap? Oh
It's
no.
like we're already saying, did Armin just call a sea lion a mermaid lion?
Yeah. No, it's like an actual lion. Oh wait, is that what it's called? Sea lion?
Are you talking about the thing that looks like a giant seal? They look like seals, but they're not seals. They're
guys,
big.
no. Sea lion is an actual thing. I'm talking about a lion with a mermaid. Okay. I don't know what they're called.
Is it a mythical creature?
Yes. Sea lions are real, but this is not. Here, hold on. Did I just call a sea lion a
Pakistani Defense Force is such a bald-faced hater. He's like, Armin, you wouldn't know how to have a good time. Yo.
This guy.
We were tearing it up in Cologne, though. Yeah. Oh my god.
See, when I search for, we were. See, when I search for, so it's not a sea lion. Look, it's a lion with a fishtail.
Merlion.
Oh, merlion. Hey, I just came up with merlion. I didn't know even what this is called. I was like, I wasn't far off. It's a merlion. Merlion. Yeah.
Oh my
Merman, gosh. Mermaid, merlion. That makes sense. Merlion. Yeah, so it's not a sea lion, it's a merlion. So yeah, this is what I remember as a child going to Singapore. This is what I remember.
Oh my god.
And even as a child, I was not impressed. I was like, I was there as a kid, I was looking at it like, meh, I wish I was back in Thailand. I was like, I don't know why we came here. I'm like looking at my parents with disappointment, like, why are we here? It's just a fountain.
Unimpressed Armin. You're such a little prince. I can't deal with it.
Like, there's so many temples in Thailand, and elephants and statues of Buddha. I was so shocked. I was like, oh my god, this country is a wonderland. And then in Singapore, I was like, we have a statue of a lion with the mermaid tail. Yay. And it's not even ancient, it's modern. All right. Can we clap for the... Oh, we can't.
No, I mean, actually, some good progress was made around the situation. So I feel like
okay. We clap.
This is one of our good Pakistan news. Okay. Next news. 5-year-old Pakistani girl forced into marriage, but an investigation was ordered. Last October in Pakistan, a 5-year-old Baluchi girl was forced into a marriage contract. On November 1st, a federal Sharia court in Pakistan instructed an officer representing Baluchistan province to submit a report on the marriage, as well as an overview of the practice of child marriage and what steps are being taken to stop it in the region. The girl's father secretly taped the exchange, insisting that the girl was too young. He couldn't stop the marriage due to local and tribal pressure. Still, he filed a police report and included the video as evidence. Local police have arrested 2 suspects who arranged the marriage. They are still looking for the cleric who officiated the ceremony. If convicted, they could serve a 6-month sentence. Okay, that blows my mind. Reports say that the young girl has been recovered. Good news. Women's rights organization Shikatga said the country fails to prevent many child marriages because they simply aren't registered. Lawyer Kishwar Zehra says the country's religious right is the most prominent opposition to creating laws to safeguard children from marriage. The Council on Islamic Ideology has publicly opposed any law setting a minimum age for girls.
Okay, so this is good news because they investigated and stopped this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The girl has
So,
reportedly been recovered. They've made arrests. They're searching out for the person that officiated this, allowed this to happen. So actually seeing a very thorough response from the authorities.
I mean, I don't want to poo-poo your good news, but this is the fact that our version of good news for Pakistan is that they were trying to marry a 5-year-old, but hey, it didn't happen. Like, okay, you know what? I'm not gonna poo-poo this for you. Okay?
Armin, I'm
Yay!
trying my best.
Yes, okay. Oh my god, they were trying to marry a 5-year-old. This is the version. So, guys, like we're really trying, okay? But I guess the best thing we could do for Pakistan, if something horrible that was supposed to happen did not happen, this is what we can get out of Pakistan. But yeah, I mean, we will get what we can take.
One thing that I just want to point out is that Pakistani Defense Force in our live chat frequently likes to accuse, particularly Armin, of anti-Pakistani racism. But here he is saying that tribal people are not Pakistani.
This is
They are
so
part.
racist.
They are nationals. They are citizens of Pakistan. They are Pakistani. They are Pakistani nationals.
This is so racist. Look at this. This is the person that accuses other people of being racist, and he's saying, stop mixing Baluchistan with civilized areas of Pakistan.
And he was screaming at you because Horace said that Pakistan isn't civilized.
Oh my God, this person who calls other people racist considers Baluchi people beneath himself to even consider. He's denying them citizenship of Pakistan because of their ethnicities. Look at this. He says Baluchis aren't real Pakistan. So he's denying them their nationality because of their ethnicity. Holy, this is so disgusting. Guys, Pakistan is a nation filled with many different ethnicities. One of these ethnicities being Baluchis. And he says because of their ethnic identity, he doesn't consider them to be part of Pakistan. This is like saying black people are not real Americans. Or this same person, if I said like in the UK, Pakistanis are not like Pakistanis, this person would call me a racist. Rightfully so, if I said UK citizens from Pakistan are not real UK citizens. Like you guys should all call me racist if I said anything like that because of people's background. And he himself, like they get so offended if Pakistanis are seen below like Americans or Europeans, but they themselves see, like he himself see himself above Baluchis. Unbelievable. That
my
is
God.
so vile. So vile and racist. Jesus Christ. Shame.
I think here's the deal. In the tribal areas of Pakistan, there is a lot less development and they are greatly more conservative. That is just true. That's just true. There's a great degree of economic disadvantagement. What's the word I'm looking for? Disenfranchisement. And that compounds a lot of these issues. And that, as much as Islam is involved with this case, based on what I was reading, this does seem to be mainly, the case of this marriage does seem to be mainly driven by tribal dynamics and pressures from the larger tribal community for this family to do what they want. So this is like an insidious function of like a more collectivist culture in some ways. And this is something that does happen a lot in tribal areas. Incidences like this happen in Iran often, in the Baluchi areas, sometimes in the Arab areas. Like there was an honor killing that happened recently in Ahvaz because of essentially tribal pressure. So this is a function of collective pressure And also, part of the reason why child marriage is so common in Pakistan, I think Pakistan alone, the last statistics I remember reading, accounts for 1/5 of child marriages in the world. Actually, I'm going to correct myself. I think the statistic I'm thinking of is actually about honor killings. So I'm going to take that back. Forget I just said that. But part of the reason why it's so frequent in Pakistan is because particularly in tribal areas, the child marriages are used as essentially a currency to deal with inter-community issues. So if there is a murder that happens, a way that the family becomes forgiven is marrying off one of their daughters. Or if there is a debt that needs to be paid, a daughter gets married off and she essentially becomes an indentured servant or slave to the family. In its consequence, it's like this form of enslavement to the family that she gets married off to. So it's something that is obviously enabled by religion, and it's enabled by religion because it is one of the main reasons why it's so difficult to have an actual minimum age against it in Pakistan. And it is endorsed, but some of the functions in which it works has to do more with inter-community pressures. So did that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. The thing is that a lot of the Islamization or lack of progress in culture and a lot of these attitudes when it comes to in areas around Baluchistan has nothing to do with these people being Baluch. It's mostly because of poverty and oppression and socioeconomic conditions, right? So when somebody like Pakistan Defense Force comes and essentializes it and reduces it to race, that's what makes it racist. That's what makes it hateful and bigoted, right? So
100%.
It makes it about them being Baluchis rather than the socioeconomic conditions and the poverty that they have to deal with. And I just wanted to highlight the two different attitudes that you want to compare here, right? So look at this. Pakistan Defense Force is saying, do not mix Baluchi tribal people with the civilized people in main cities, right?
I've never met a bigger hypocrite than Pakistani Defense Force.
I've never seen somebody who goes and accuses people of bigotry and racism and talks like this, right? Compare this attitude. So for people who don't know, Baluchis are an ethnicity that are across the border of Pakistan and Iran. So they're Baluchi people and also Afghanistan, but they're in Pakistan and they're also in Iran, right? So this is Pakistan Defense Force talking about Pakistani Baluchis like this, okay? But right across the border, like somebody from right across the border, look at how Mariam speaks. Compare this, okay? Mariam says, I'm Iranian and I'm proud of our Baluchi population. Right? Compare this attitude of Mariam about the Iranian Baluchis and Pakistani's Defense Force about Pakistani Baluchis.
Love you, Mariam. Oh my God. She says, I love how diverse our country is. See, this is what we're talking about. And no one is under any delusions that these areas are not considerably more conservative in their practices. And I mean, I'm under no delusion that this conservatism is very traditional, backwards, like harmful, all of these things. But that's not essential to a people. All cultures came from many of these very harmful traditions at some point. But through economic advancement, we were able to leave behind these systems. These systems function the way that they do for a reason in the construction of a society. And that doesn't mean they're good, but they happen this way because of the conditions that people live in. Like also in Iran, the Sistan and Baluchistan province is considerably more conservative than the rest of the country. They look very different, but that does not make them any less Iranian. That is part of their nationality. Anyways, wow.
Yeah. Also, I think this also explains a lot. I don't know why.
Can you read it out loud?
No, I don't want to read that out loud.
It's attitudes like Pakistani Defense Force. This is why there is one of the longest insurgencies in history ongoing in the Baluchistan area of Pakistan. Do you not see how this might fuel a little bit of the problem? Just saying.
All right, can we clap for the next news?
Oh no, this is pretty gross.
Oh no? Okay, next news then.
Next news. Qatari authorities forced trans woman to remove breast tissue after arrest. Since Qatar won the right to host the 2022 FIFA World Cup, it has received criticism for its poor treatment of migrant workers and members of the LGBT community. The Qatari government has denied all allegations regarding human rights abuses, but Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International published reports disputing these claims. The world knew little about the conditions of transgender Qataris until recently, when BBC spoke to two trans Qataris. Shahid, a fake name or anonymized name, one of the transgender Qataris interviewed by the BBC stated that she was arrested several times and interrogated. After one of the arrests, she was forced to remove her breast tissue that had formed since she had began taking estrogen and also had to undergo conversion therapy. She described Qatar's preventative security department as a gang. In response to the reports and interviews of the transgender woman, a Qatari government official stated that fans, quote, from all walks of life come together in Qatar to build bridges of friendship and break down barriers of misunderstanding.
I don't understand. Like, remove breast tissue? What does that? Can you describe that?
So this is derived from a BBC article where they interviewed two Qatari transgender women, and they were talking about their experiences, what they've gone through, the abuses that they faced from authorities, the tactics the authorities use. And I can talk about all these things if we want. But so they were interviewing this woman, and she showed how they forced her to cut her hair in a very masculine style. And then as she was giving this interview, she pulled down part of her shirt to reveal these scars across her chest, and said that after arrest, the timeline of it isn't clear or like how it happened, but basically she was forced to remove the breast tissue that had begun to form after she had been taking hormone replacement therapy that she had been getting imported from a different country.
How was she forced? Like, what was the...
This was not described in the reporting of the BBC. So that remains unclear to me.
They forced her to take surgery? Like how, I don't understand. How is that?
That's what I presume, but there was no reported details about how this went down. Did this happen?
The reason why I'm asking is because it's just so barbaric that I don't believe it. I can't believe. They forced her to cut into her body and remove her breast tissue.
Okay, I don't know. Like I said, the details are not given. I doubt that they made her do this herself. I don't think. You can't.
No, I didn't say to herself. Obviously, no. That's not what I asked.
Oh.
Whatever procedure it took, they're like, oh yeah, you are forced to get this procedure to remove your breast tissue.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe. I don't Is this verified?
This was reported in BBC, and this is all according to their reporting.
Why are not people screaming? Is this this should be? Where's the trans community? Are they screaming about this? Because it should be.
I saw this being reported in a lot of LGBT media, but besides that, it wasn't really highlighted in the same way. When it's highlighted by mainstream media, it just talks about the general persecution that they face, but not.
Why is this not viral?
Specific act.
This should be viral right now. Guys, like if something 1/10 of as extreme as this was happening anywhere in the US or Europe, the whole world would be screaming about it. Well, why is this like why is this where is this person a citizen of?
This person is a Qatari. They're a Qatari citizen.
Okay, never mind. That's why people don't care, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if this was happening to a trans American or a trans European, people would be screaming. This would be considered trans genocide. The hell? Like, come on, people. Like the one good thing about the LGBT community is that they know how to rile things up. They know how to protest. So can you please do that for your fellow Qatari trans person? It seemed like you're needed here. Like this should be, and I know, I'm pretty sure some people are doing something.
Oh, 100%.
Viral.
In fact, let me highlight the work of this one guy because there's this amazing activist, and let me find his Instagram really quickly because that's where I find his name is Nas Mohammed, and give me 30 seconds. Let me pull him up. He is the first openly gay Qatari. And here he is. You can follow him at Dr. like Dr._NASS, Dr. Nas. And yeah, he's the first openly gay Qatari. And he does really amazing activism to raise awareness about the what the Qatari LGBT community goes through. And he has like all these campaigns that he does. And he does a lot of really good awareness campaigns. And also one thing I think is really cool. Let me make this bigger so we can see this better. I love this photo. So here he is wearing the very traditional like Gulf Arab outfit. I can't remember the proper name for these things, like the thobe and, the chefia on the head with the little black thing, but with a giant rainbow sash across his chest. And this is amazing because for many people that come from Arab communities, they could never fathom seeing someone being so boldly Arab and boldly gay at the same time. It's because in many people's cultures, societies, their family, community, they are raised to believe that these things are antithetical. That to be an Arab, you cannot be an Arab man and be gay at the same time. Like they don't belong together. So I don't know, to see this so visibly, it's so beautiful to me. And I actually saw him at the San Francisco Pride this year. And I didn't know it was him. I saw this dude walking around with the thobe and the chefia and everything in the rainbow sash through Pride. And I was like, holy shit. Like I got a photo of him. I sent it to all my friends that are living in Arab countries that are gay, and it made their brain explode. So I don't know. I just wanted to highlight that.
I do want to mention something that a lot of people from our community get wrong. Okay. What you're seeing with the rainbow thing, this outfit, okay, is not Islamic. Okay, this outfit is Arab. It's not a religious outfit. Okay, so a lot of people, because people associate Arab with Islam and anything Arabic with Islamic, there are many things that are specifically Arabic but are not necessarily Islamic. Okay, so don't think like so. This is not an Islamic outfit. There are many. Like I've noticed some ex-Muslims, Arabs, who wear this outfit. This is a specifically Arab outfit, not a specifically Islamic outfit. So for example, if you see a mullah outfit, like an Iranian mullah outfit with the turban and whatever they wear around their body, that is a specifically Islamic outfit, right? Or where you see the outfit of a Sunni, preacher in a mosque in Saudi Arabia, right? So in Saudi Arabia, if you see people walking around like this, that's an Arabic outfit. But if you see a preacher outfit, like there are specific preacher outfits, that is an Islamic outfit. Okay, so this guy, I don't know if he's a Muslim or not, but you can't tell if somebody is wearing an outfit like that. That outfit is not going to be able to tell you whether they're Muslim or not, or if they're Muslim, how Muslim they are. That just shows that they're either Arab or they're very much into Arab culture. That's all.
Well, and more specifically, like Gulf Arab.
Gulf Arab, yes.
Yeah.
Gulf, yeah, exactly. Gulf Arab.
Yeah. So, I don't know, fun little cultural lesson. And I really wanted to promote the work of Dr. Nas because Armin, you're talking about like, where is the outrage over this kind of thing? Where are people talking about it? Like, I see him calling out celebrities the most, raising awareness the most, like doing a lot. So he is one of those people like leading the charge to really raise the voices and fight back against the propaganda too. Like because there's so much propaganda coming from the Qatari government of like, no, we don't treat gay people this way, da, 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 da. And he comes forward with evidence about how the LGBT community of Qataris, not foreigners, is actually treated. And so I think that is so important.
To be clear, I knew people must be doing something, but I was complaining about it is that it's not to the extent that it has gone viral in a way that it would have if this was like a Western thing, right? By the way, in support of LGBT, should I show people my AI of the?
Okay, I don't know. I think it's kind of it might be a little problematic. It might be a little problematic.
Wait, why would that be problematic?
Because it's playing upon stereotypes of what it looks like to be gay.
It's not. I mean, it is part of it. If it's not all of it, it's some of it.
Yeah. Okay, but now people are going to be curious, so now we have to show them.
Okay, wait, hold on. So this is AI generated version of me if I was a queen, I think, right? So here. So I guess this is in support of LGBT. I don't know, what should I say?
This is for those who are wondering how this came about. This is a result of the Atheist Republic Persian Discord community messing with Armin.
Wait, I have more.
Mariam is saying pretty.
Wait. Oh my god. Wait, I have the old version of me. Look at this. This is me old. This is me
Giga Chad.
Giga Chad me. They made a devil version of me. They made a goat version of me. A goat or a sheep, I don't know. They made a hamster version of me. Is this a hamster? I don't know what this is. It's and also I don't know if this is a baby because he still has beard.
I don't know. So I'm very uncomfortable with this creation. I don't know how to classify this.
I guess. Anyways. But
oh my god. Mariam is saying, wow, that's amazing. What is this program? This is Atheist Republic. I'm kidding. I think you used Midjourney AI.
Yes. That's
okay, see, it's not homophobic because Gaysian American is saying slay.
See, yeah, we have LGBT support for this. That's great.
The reason, just to clarify, I'm just saying that because people would say that you can be a full-blown Giga Chad and be extremely gay and only be into men. You don't have to be more feminine, flamboyant, whatever to be gay, and that
I know, but
present this some people... this way, you're a queen. It's homophobic, and you're saying that they're not real men. So I'm just acknowledging that that's the way that people feel, okay? And this is all in good fun, and this is mainly just roasting Armin with different versions of him in AI, including as a sheep. So
okay, but let me say that people overcorrect again, okay? Because people say like, oh, you could be gay and you could be like not feminine at all, okay? Yeah, but don't deny, like, there are a big part of the gay community are men who like to be feminine. So
100%.
so don't, yeah, true, there are many different kind of gay people, but a lot of them like to be feminine. Don't try to erase them, but like, it's good to no make the point that not all of them are like that, but don't erase the existence of the one that do like that. It's a big part of the community. But I don't know, the main one that I like is this one, because I notice how comfortable I am with being old. You know what I mean? So I was like, I'm okay
If
with
I
this
look like
because-
this, I'm fine.
yeah, no, I was like, okay, I look forward to being old, because if this is fine, this is like, I'm comfortable with this. It's good.
I can work with this.
I can work with this. Like, so I don't have to worry about getting old. Like, oh my God, I'm getting old. This is good. This is fine. If this is what it's going to be like.
Sheep version of Armin is my favorite, or goat. I think someone said, I think it was Triage. Yeah, the goat version of Armin should be called Armin Biryani. Oh my God.
All right. Okay. All right.
Hamster
I see
Armin
that-
was a hit.
Hamster Armin? Wait,
Yeah.
this one? This
Yeah.
guy?
Yeah. That was my favorite too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, this guy.
I don't know why.
Okay. He looks sad. I don't know why he's so sad. I wanna give him like a peanut or something. Like,
Exactly. That's why I like it.
Okay. All right. Can we clap for the next news?
People want Hamster Armin merch. Same.
All right. Can we clap for the next news?
Oh my God, the live chat makes me laugh too much. Okay. What is the next news?
The Pope.
Yeah, this is actually good.
Good news. Okay. Next news.
Next news. Abuse survivors bid to seize Catholic properties after failure to pay. So we always talk about this, and now in one case, it looks like it could happen. The Marist brothers, an international Catholic order, is set to lose some of their properties, including their Sydney headquarters, after failing to pay for 3 abuse victims' legal costs, despite a court order. 3 abuse victims, known to the court as MM, MJ, and HG, previously settled with the Marist brothers over historic child abuse claims that haunted the organization. The Catholic order said that they were, quote unquote, unfortunate delays in sending the payment due to an unnamed third party. They also said they're now trying to urgently communicate with the defendant's lawyers to make the payment. When the Catholic order failed to act on the deadline, in one of the motions, the Supreme Court allowed the sheriff to seize a building serving as the Marist brothers' headquarters in Sydney. MM, this is one of the people in the petition, said Marist brothers are spending a fortune of their followers' money, making life hard for victims of child abuse, of multiple pandemic-level pedophilia, okay, using coded word, going on in the Marist brothers. According to a spokesperson for the Marist brothers, they are now processing the payment for the legal costs as soon as possible. So let me break this down. The Marist brothers are a Catholic order of monks, no, not monks, priests. And this is happening in Australia. There has been extremely systematic ill treatment of children, to say the least. And there were 3 brothers who had this case against the court. And the court, had all these proceedings, and this order of priests, they were ordered to pay the legal fees, the legal costs, expenses of these 3 brothers. And they were ordered to pay for these legal costs, and they did not make these payments. And because they did not make these payments, one of the petitioners moved forward, and basically the court granted the permission for the sheriff to go in and seize one of their properties, seize one of their buildings. And if that is not enough to cover the costs, then they can seize more properties. However, they are currently in the, so then this order of priests, the Marist brothers, they came back and they blamed the failure of payment on a third party or whatever. There was an unfortunate, unexpected delay. Like, they're not really clear about why this didn't happen in the way that the court ordered, but this is their story, right? And so now they're like, oh no, we're going to send the money as soon as possible. We swear. But I think it's incredible that they're facing having their properties seized over this.
Amazing. This is only in one country?
This is in Sydney, Australia. Well, one of the buildings that was approved for seizure is in Sydney, Australia, the headquarters of the order.
Why are Australians so good at like doing? Why can't they, when it comes to the Catholic Church, why can't the rest of the world act like Australia does?
It's not always so great, but in comparison to everyone else, they do seem to be doing a lot better. Not gonna lie.
So aggressive against it. I mean, I think Canada could learn from Australia, because Canada has now good enough public support to stand against the Catholic Church. I like this.
Mm-hmm,
You highlighted some comments. You want to read them?
This comment from Miriam is so good. She's saying, I'm a lawyer, and let me tell you, those lawyers will get their fees, even if they have to seize the damn Vatican.
Okay, that's good. There's two forces of nature that are powerful forces of nature that are coming against each other: the Catholic Church and
yeah. D is saying seems fair to me, and Doorknob Head is saying seems way overdue to me. This is kind of silly. Doorknob Head is also saying seize it all.
I mean, this sets a good precedent. I mean, I don't like, just beyond child abuse, the Catholic Church as an entity has enough history of crimes for us to go after everything they have. I mean, this is what the problem about the whole thing being one entity, right? So, I mean, if you're any other brand of religion, you're not a legal entity. So the crimes of the people who are before you cannot be used for, like, you can't hold, for example, any Muslim entity now responsible for what other people did in the name of Islam's before. Like, you can't do that, right? These are different people with different actions. You can't hold them collectively responsible. But the Catholic Church has this weakness of the whole thing being one entity.
Well, it's literally the oldest institution in the West.
Exactly.
In the Occidental sphere, it is the oldest institution. 2,000 consecutive years of history.
So unlike Protestant Christianity and Islam and Judaism, everything that is done in the name of the Catholic Church, like, you could go, there's an entity which is like legally could be held responsible for all of it.
They have a damn country they're in charge of.
That actually makes it more difficult. Okay, so
yeah, it does.
The whole thing being one legal entity makes it easy for legally to go after them for everything that is done, but them having their own country makes it difficult, because they are like, we have our own country and this is like our own laws, like you cannot cross this border. So that makes it difficult. So yeah, I don't know if you could actually seize the Vatican. It being a country, I don't know. It would be against the United Nations and all.
It's really, it actually pisses me off, because they play the role of an institution when it's convenient, and then they play the role of a nation when it's convenient.
And a religion when it's convenient. Yeah. Can we clap for the next news? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next news. Pakistani activists speak out against torture of accused blasphemers. Cases of custodial torture in blasphemy cases has raised concern among Pakistani rights activists. Rights groups have found several flaws in the law enacted by the Pakistan Senate 2 months ago, which makes the torture of the accused in custody unlawful. Reports claim that the activists requested a better implementation of the Torture and Custodial Death Prevention and Punishment 2022 bill. Joseph Jansen, chairperson of Voice of Justice, stated that the current blasphemy law neither guarantees the accused a fair trial nor provides them religious freedom. The accuser, on the other hand, receives no consequences even after using fake evidence and false testimony. There's yet any countermeasure to be taken to prevent misuse of the blasphemy law. Jansen further noted that Pakistan's blasphemy laws were inconsistent and incompatible with international human rights standards. Yeah, that is the biggest duh. Activist Ashiknaz Qatar has said that digital media and popular social media platforms in the country play a significant role in spreading misinformation. In August, Human Rights Watch said that in order to end Pakistan's custody torture issue, first we have to criminalize the system itself.
This is great progress. This sounds very brave, because how brave do you think this is? Because there's a lot of forces within Pakistan that will consider this to be. We have had people who were executed in the streets by the mob just because they spoke in support of not executing somebody for blasphemy, right? So I don't know. Do you think that
more accurately assassinated?
Assassinated. Well, that's what I mean. Executed. When I said executed, I said in the streets.
And not by a mob. I mean, if you're talking about
yes, not by a mob, but celebrated by a mob, killed by his own bodyguard, right? But people came and celebrated that assassination in masses. So I don't know if this is like trying to support speaking out against torture of accused blasphemers. Is that something dangerous for these people to do? Because that would be seen by a lot of like radical Muslims as supporting blasphemers. No,
by radicals, yes. Me personally, being a responsible person that has an audience, I personally don't feel comfortable to make an estimation on that. I just have to say I don't know.
Okay, good. Either way, I do think that these people, not even if it's uncertain, that would make these people courageous, in my opinion, because at least the possibility is there. Would you be comfortable telling me how much do you think this is a strong force against because we also have a wave of people demanding more action be taken against blasphemers in Pakistan, right? So compared to that force, how strong do you think this force seems to be?
I also don't have a good estimation on this. And this specific issue is actually itself broader than just people who are accused of blasphemy, because this is actually really getting at tackling a larger issue of torture of people in custody by authorities, which has been very systematic in many cases. So that's something that benefits, all people, right? It's not exclusive to this case. And so I think because of that broader appeal, there might be more success. I mean, they did just pass this torture and custodial death prevention and punishment bill. And, but activists are trying to raise awareness about loopholes and some problems with it. So hopefully that will be addressed.
So, I mean, this is great because, Pakistan, when it comes to the number of blasphemy cases, Pakistan is the worst country in the world, right? When it comes to the number of blasphemy executions, Iran is the worst country in the world, right? But when we say that Pakistan is the worst country when it comes to blasphemy cases, this is a good reminder for our audience to not generalize all Pakistanis with an attitude, right? There are Pakistanis who are fighting this. This is just like when you see the Iranian regime and how brutal it is, you don't use it as a way to come up with a judgment for all Iranian people. When you see the level of backwardness and Islamization that you see in Pakistan, you have to understand that there are many secularists, atheists, and even Muslims who do not agree with that level of government involvement or mob mentality when it comes to enforcing Islamic law. There are many people within Pakistan who hate this, who disagree with this, and are shocked by it and are trying to fight against it. And acts like this helps us be reminded of that. So thank you for everybody who's involved in this type of activism. These are people literally on the front lines of such activism. Like me and Susanna are doing this from a safe space. These people are right in the mix of it. And, kudos to these people. Hats off to them. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think one thing that needs to be considered when we're talking about like the blasphemy issue, because there are many different ways that you could break this down, especially when you look at the statistics of the cases and stuff. And based on the most comprehensive statistics that I have found that do have great limitations. And I do have to say that one of the greatest limitations is that the report is that these statistics are derived from relies on media reports, and primarily media reports in languages that the team that created this report could understand, which I think was primarily English and French. And so there are 100% probably a great wealth of cases and incidents that are not included in this data because of lack of linguistic access to this data. But based on what is available, Pakistan has the greatest incidence of violence and I believe registered cases as well when it comes to blasphemy, because it's not just, how many people were killed, how many people were lynched. It should be 0, let's be clear. But it's also like how many people were reported, how many people are facing charges, how many people are, waiting to be indicted, all this stuff. So it's much more complex than just reducing it to, who was executed, who was lynched, There's many different ways in which this issue manifests. So I just wanted to say that because I know that people can get very hung up on how we talk about this data.
All right. Can we clap for the next news?
We can clap because no one died. Everyone was safe. And this is just wild.
Okay. No one died. Next news.
Next news. Woman tries to open plane door mid-flight because Jesus told her so.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Recently, an Ohio-bound Southwest Airlines flight 192 was forced to make an emergency landing after a passenger tried to open the door mid-flight. 34-year-old Ilom Agbegnino tried to open the emergency exit when the plane was 37,000 feet in the air. When a passenger tried to help the airline staff restrain Agbegnino, she bit the passenger on the inner thigh and refused to let go until the passenger forced their fingers into her jaw. She began hitting her head on the plane floor and said that Jesus told her to fly to Ohio and Jesus told her to open the plane door. Eventually, the flight attendants managed to restrain Agbegnino by pinning her down with the help of other passengers, and the plane was forced to make an emergency landing at the Bill and Hillary Clinton National Airport in Little Rock, Arkansas. Agbegnino was taken away by police officers after the aircraft landed. The passenger she bit was treated with hepatitis shots and antibiotics. Agbegnino has been charged with assault, quote, with within maritime and territorial jurisdiction, as well as interference with the flight attendants, according to the criminal complaint against her.
Isn't she mentally ill, or is she fine?
So this, let me just fully say, I am not a mental health professional. Okay, I only have a degree in psychology. I'm not licensed in any state or jurisdiction. Okay, it sounded, based on the reports that I read, that she basically had like either some version of a psychotic break or like a severe panic attack, like that. Her.
So how could, if it is mental issues, can they actually charge her? But can it be criminal? If it's mental issue, then it can be criminal, can it?
That is a much more complicated question. That's not something that you can give a legal yes or I cannot give a yes or no answer to that right now.
Okay.
Because the burden of proof for insanity and how much you're culpable for your actions is a very, very difficult legal question that has to be really drawn out in court. That's not something you can just make a quick assessment on. So basically, based on what I read in the reports, she had left her home like very suddenly, kind of without notice, and like she didn't seem to have any bags. She had no luggage or anything. And she said that she was flying to another town to go visit one of her friends who was like a pastor or something. And then all of a sudden in the middle of the flight, she, based on the descriptions that I read, it sounded like she almost had a claustrophobic attack and started to panic. And I read some things that described almost like an inability to breathe, and that she somehow thought that being able to open the door would like allow her to breathe or something. And then, this is obviously a person in a deep state of distress.
Okay. So,
but she was reporting that it was like Jesus telling her to do these things.
Yeah, I know. So I'm not a mental health expert either. Okay. So this seems to me like somebody with a mental disorder. So I don't think you could, but again, I don't know because I'm not an expert. But again, I have to repeat this because, by the way, I saw Prometheus saying the religion is a mental disorder. No, professionally, that's not how religion is. Just because religion is wrong and it's a wrong belief, mental disorder and believing in things that are wrong are not the same thing, right? These are two separate things. You cannot describe them the same way. So it's not, I think people shouldn't call religion a mental disorder, because calling something a mental disorder is a very, you need to be a specialist to identify who's has mental disorders and who doesn't, right? However, but if this person has a mental disorder, that doesn't put religion off the hook. Religion, like I always try to remind people, that if somebody is doing religiously crazy things and they have a mental disorder, you can't say that their action is being driven by religion, but you can say that religion has an influence in making their mental illness worse, right? So the way I describe it is that imagine a person, A and B, they both have mental disorder, and they imagine things and they see things because of their mental disorder. And to person A is a control, but person B, you tell them that the things that they're hearing and the things that are imagining, they actually are real. And somebody with a high degree of authority and power is talking to them, and that's real and it's valid and it's something that they should take seriously, right? If I didn't even mention religion, but I think most people would understand that what I'm saying to person B is destructive and dangerous to their mental health, and it's going to make their mental health worse, right? So this person B is very much like what is being told is very much like religion. So if you have mental illness and you are prone to hear things and see things, if you add religion on top of that, now you have a framework and more degrees of certainty that, and less degrees of doubt, and less likelihood for you to, because there are many people who see things and hear things, and they have been convinced by friends, family, and doctors that these are not real, and they have an understanding that not everything I imagine represents the real world. So you are able to bring people to that understanding even with that mental disorder. But when you add religion to that, you now have validation for what you're hearing is the source of that is God, Jesus, the Mahdi, Muhammad, Allah, or like Shiva or whatever, right? So that's why how religion poisons many things, including mental health disorders. So does that make sense?
No, I 100% I agree.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I hope she gets help. I hope she's fine. I hope if she has mental health disorder, I hope she gets the care that she's needed instead of being punished with a crime. I don't think that it's fair to her for her to get punished as a criminal if this is actually a mental health disorder.
Mhm.
Do you think that's fair to say that? I think so.
Yeah. It can get legally sticky. It depends.
Yeah, see, everything I said, Dee just said it in one line. I didn't need to go. Religion enhances mental illness. Yes, exactly. Also, a quick reminder that most mentally challenged people are not dangerous. Okay, the ones that do dangerous things get the news coverage, and it will give you many people the impression that if you have a mental disorder, you are dangerous. Okay, but that is not the case. The vast majority of them who are not dangerous do not make the news. Okay, so just be mindful of that. All right, can we? No, Prometheus. Not every. Okay, so Prometheus is saying by this logic, every criminal act is mental illness. No, it's not. That you need the mental illness has a very specific the definition, and there are very specific, like not everything. If this is mental illness, not everything criminal is mental illness. You need an expert to come and tell you if this was mental illness. Okay, no, me and you are not in a position to decide whether or not this was mental illness or not. All right, can I clap for the next news?
Yes, we can. This is exciting.
Okay. All right, next news.
Next news, Armin's new piece, or newest first, in Aereo magazine. So guys, Armin just wrote his first article in Aereo magazine, which is an online publication that I really love. And it's titled Iran's Feminist Revolution. And it's very good. It's very good. So I wanted to highlight, Armin's work. Okay. You guys should go read it. And let me say, Armin, okay, I was reading this and it actually taught me a lot. Like you do a really good job laying out the history and what influenced these things, like way before even the construction of this regime, and then how that influences what we see now. And like that breakdown I thought was really good, and I haven't seen other people do it in that way. It's like I don't know, I really liked the way you analyze that and put it into context, like a much broader context than you typically see. So guys, you should go to Aereo.com and read Armin's article, Iran's Feminist Revolution, because I think you could probably learn something. Even if you are on this channel a lot, you tune in, you watch our Iran coverage a lot, which I think our coverage on Iran is like more comprehensive than pretty much anywhere else I find. For an English speaking audience, that is. Yeah, even so, you can still learn something by reading this article. And Armin just provided a link. So you guys should go check it out.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh,
actually,
Mariam is saying, I'm going to read the F out of it. Thanks for the link.
Oh, thank you, Mariam. That's very sweet. I actually starting to enjoy writing articles. I mean, I wrote a book once, and then now I'm reading. I mean, finding the process of writing articles for different publications a lot more enjoyable than what I had to go through to write my book. I wrote before I wrote for Area Magazine. I wrote for Queer Majority. Now I wrote for Area Magazine. I'm going to go back to write more for also for a Queer Majority again.
Nice.
So that's going to be something about the history and theology of LGBT from an Islamic perspective, right? So that should be interesting.
Juicy.
But yeah, so overall, do you think this was a good article? Like,
oh my God. I mean, I just gave you my highest praises, breaking down exactly why I thought it was informative. Yes.
I was being very, I know you say that, but I'm just wondering if you're just being nice or if you were being objective.
You know what? No, I'm not just being nice, and I can prove it because let's go to the bottom of the article, and I would like to read the rest of the comments that are right there. Okay. Okay. Because Kamyar commented, "This has been the best explanation of this woman-led revolution so far. I hope the Western media would consider such a deep analysis about this revolution, not some banalities about feminism and political reforms."
Yeah. That's
how lovely is that?
I know.
And
I liked it.
all the other comments are talking about like it's excellent, very good. Yes, I think you do provide a much broader perspective than you're going to get from most media outlets, especially in English.
Okay.
And that's why it's so important too. Like, let's just talk about that so much. Like the language barrier is a serious problem in getting out the message of this revolution to people, because so much of the content is just in Persian. And so I think this like kind of content and writing that you do is actually like really of service to people.
Yeah. I do think like I am trying. The reason why I also feel motivated to do this is because I'm trying to figure out how I could help with like getting more people to notice what's happening in Iran. And I sometimes feel like maybe I'm not doing enough, right? So I was thinking, because we use Atheist Republic and our social media outlets and secular jihadists as a way to bring as much attention as possible. And I was thinking about what I could do more. And I'm like, well, maybe I could go figure out other publications, like outlets that is not mine. And maybe if I pitch to them and I write for them, then I will get this in front of their audience as well. And it seems to be working. So again, I'm just trying to brainstorm different ways to just get this out there as much as possible. Because
I think it's super valuable. I like really commend you for it.
I mean, like sometimes I feel like there are people out there in Pakistan or in Iran that are literally risking everything for liberty. And I feel guilty. I feel like, Jesus Christ, like, what else can we do? Right? Like, we're just like we have so much security and so much peace and so much stability. And we're not like, and we claim to be activists in favor, I claim to be an activist against tyranny and for liberalism, and I feel like I'm not doing enough. Like I'm not picking enough of the weight that I'm supposed to. So yeah, I don't know. I'll keep trying to find. We'll keep trying to do our best. But Susanna, something happened to you. It seemed like in the middle of the news, I saw you getting upset about something. Like while I was talking about the previous news.
Yeah, sorry to get distracted.
You got distracted and very, very. It seemed like you got very sad. What is it? What just happened?
So as of about 1-2 hours ago, I mean, we can unfortunately share that the execution of the second protester associated with the Masa Amini uprising has been executed. Yeah, his name was Majid Reza. How would you pronounce this? Rahnavard?
Rahnavard, yes.
Yeah.
This just happened?
As we were on the show.
Jesus Christ. Oh yeah, Twitter is blowing up over this right now. Rahnavard, yeah. So yeah, it's all over Twitter right now. She's Persian Twitter. So Masih Ali-Najad just wrote, Iranian regime gives the finger to world opinion and holds a public execution. Oh, it was a public execution, Jesus Christ, of a second protesters in the city of Mashhad. Majid Reza Rahnavard's crime was protesting the murder of Mahsa Amini. The regime's method on dealing with protesters is execution. EU, recall your ambassadors. Okay, so we have to see more details need to come about from this. Oh, this is him?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ. Look at this. This is a guy full with life into sports. I mean, okay, but we have to, I don't want to say much because we have to, I'm going to wait for more details because we might say something that is wrong. But seems to be credible news right now. People are reporting it everywhere.
I mean, it was reported by Tasmin.
Yeah, that's the government's own source right now. So they are confirming this.
I know that people were fighting really hard for him.
Okay, you know what? Mariam is actually bringing up a point that I wanted to mention about the first execution that you mentioned, and I totally forgot. And I thank you, Mariam, for bringing this up, okay? The crime of these protesters, the crime that they're being murdered for, and the people who are carrying out these executions is what they literally did in 1997. They are proud of it. They teach us in school in Iran. The people who are carrying out these executions, they are brag about the fact that they protested against the Shah. They are like, these people were in the streets. Like I don't know exactly what so-called crime this person was executed for, but the first execution was for a guy that was holding up the street. He had a knife and he slightly injured one of the armed forces, right? And he got executed for that. The regime officials were almost all of them took part in the 1997 protests against the Shah's regime. 1979 protests against the Shah regime. And they did a lot more. They burned things. They had guns. They were shooting. They burned down the whole cinema. They did so much more than all of this. And that is a bragging right for them. They're telling us that, like, we had the right to execute this man because it's illegal for you to fight against the armed forces. It's illegal for you to come and protest in the street and hold up a street like that. But you guys all did exactly the same thing. I don't understand. They're such hypocrites. Khamenei was part of the protests. The head of the judiciary system was part of the protests in the streets against the Shah. The judges, all the judges that are handing down these sentences when they were young in 1979, they were part of the protests. They were in the streets themselves. doing the same thing that they're now executing people for. How is it a crime for them but not a crime for you?
Because they're waging war against God.
Exactly. Mariam is saying Armin is exactly right, and that's why they're so terrified. What they don't realize is Iranians today are smarter, kinder, and braver than they ever were. The regime is finished. Yeah. We'll see about that. Do we know exactly what is this guy? Was he responsible for anyone's death? Do we know that?
I can't remember exactly what his alleged crimes were. I just know that he was charged with muharebe.
Muharebe.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that they couldn't get him with qisas.
Yeah.
Khamenei prefers to get them with qisas, but they're getting them with muharebe. That means that they don't have any civilians that want them dead. Okay, but we'll get more details about this, and report it with more details once we have them, because this just came out. Yeah, so this happened within the past hour or so, 2 hours. Okay, we'll come back. We'll come back next week with more details about that, to know what exactly he's charged for.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously like the worst possible note to end the show on, but
guys, you need to share this news like this, okay? There's so many more right now.
It's so important to stay informed. It's so important.
And share the news, because you need to be part of making a noise about this, because there's so many other people, so many other protesters that are now on death row, okay? Their death sentences are being passed out, and they're being executed so fast. This is insane, even by the Islamic Republic standard. Like, these procedures used to take 2 years. They're now taking days. So you guys need to, and also these procedures, guys, these people do not even have their lawyers present to defend themselves. Anyways, okay, we need to end the show here. Sorry for the sad news at the end. Yeah, poor family. All right. Thank you guys for being here with us. Thank you for supporting. Please like and subscribe so that our channel gets a boost, and leave a comment and hit the bell notification, and share these with as many people as you possibly can, and go figure out what the hashtags associated with it is, and maybe contribute that way.
Hashtag stop executions in Iran.
There we go. All right, guys.
And make sure to tune in next week, because we always try to bring you the best information, particularly with everything that's going on in Iran, and really go into things in depth. So we will, definitely be bringing a big breakdown of these things once again next week.
All right. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye.